if the Earth is flat, Pete,
Okay.
then there would be no measurable change in elevation. Q.
Okay.
Elevation is a measured change in the vertical axis, therefore not Q.
Therefore, Earth is not flat. And in maths, you can prove whatever you like. I'm saying it's not physics. That's all that I'm saying.
Yeah, so where does the proof of your flat Earth, where does that come into it?
You measure Earth as flat with a flat baseline to a ground position to start.
You can also prove a flat Earth by measuring angles. How useful for proving a flat Earth?
It's a measurement of a flat Earth. Okay, measuring things is not scientific. Yes, that's correct.
So what about the proof then, right? Does the proof of flat Earth that you have, does that lie within the bounds of science?
No.
I will get triggered now because this is dishonest prick.
Okay, measuring things is not scientific. Yes, that's correct.
Well, I was just wondering, when you were talking about proof of your flat Earth, is that the same proof as the proof that you were talking about with Jaren in science?
I answered the first two times. I said no. Twice. No.
I will
No.
get triggered now because this is
Measuring
dishonest prick.
things like a flat baseline to a ground position for stars, not scientific. That's a measurement. Science establishes
Should I
the
show you how
cause
it's
of an
possible,
effect. That's the science we deal with. We deal with natural
By
science.
using scientific
And while
method,
the knowledge can be put on the cover of a book as the science
prove the Earth
of
is flat.
ground position for star, here we specifically deal with natural
Should I show you how
science.
it's possible,
That's
mate?
the scientific method.
by using
There's the
scientific
distinction.
method to prove the Earth is flat.
And I'll agree with you. In maths, you can prove things in the maths. The maths itself is an abstract language. Whereas physics, that's science and the scientific method, is dealing with the physical. It's the difference between science, physics, the physical, and maths, which
Should I
is
show
an
you how it's
abstract
possible,
language
mate?
to describe things. If you're saying you can prove things with maths, 1 + 1 = 2. Ground position. Proof. To start.
And you are equal to, you've had one plus the other one. I can accept that that's proof.
Ground position. Maths. To
No.
start. In physics, it isn't proof.
Should I show
Because
you
it
how it's
isn't
possible,
physics.
mate?
Physics is the
By
physical.
using scientific method to prove the Earth
Okay,
is
again,
flat.
I can use the scientific method to prove the Earth is flat. Not the Earth is flat because of scientific method. There's a difference. Shape is not science. But I can use method, the scientific method, to show that it is flat.
Ground position. To start.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
I got your numbers, they're right here.
Yes, that's correct.
It's just as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Sphere, not see
You
thing.
have to open your mind.
Flat, I see thing.
Imagination is all you need.
You do know science is also
Don't
deductible.
take advice from fools.
That is a fact.
Everything that they say is in vain.
This is a flat Earth proof.
Yes, that's correct.
Never take advice from fools. We all know what they do is in vain.
Should I show you how it's possible, mate? By using scientific
Yes,
method
that's correct.
to prove the Earth is flat.
An Earth was proved to be flat by these measurements.
So we would assert that that average is how average the level of level is. It's flat. There it is. That's how we use it.
The deviation from that reference means it isn't flat.
Everything is relative to you.
I will get triggered now because this is dishonest
You
prick.
just have to say
Yes, that's correct.
generality.
It's a what is.
Just
Go.
like those straight lines of curves.
Means it isn't flat.
Yes, that's correct.
Drive down the road, don't you
Yeah, but the
ever
elevation changes make the Earth not flat.
Third, then, it's a stupid argument. So this is a flat Earth proof.
Where all of this goes.
Don't report to FED or no one. I am my own person. I am my own person.
Yes, that's correct.
Everything that they say is in
By using scientific method to prove the Earth is flat.
Never take advice from fools.
To prove the Earth is flat.
That they do is in vain.
Don't report to FED or no one. I am my own person.
What's your observed phenomenon for a flat Earth?
Did I say flat Earth was my observed phenomena, or did I say I can use scientific method to prove it's flat? Huh.
Okay, what's your observed phenomenon? to prove that it's flat?
I see too far. How's that?
I know the game that you're playing,
You want to know, Jason?
and I know exactly what's on your mind.
Now I'm just letting the FED crew know
You
that
got your playbook, it's alright.
their lapdog needs more
Your
training
model dictates what you will find,
because you're an idiot.
and I don't know
Okay, what's your observed phenomena to prove that it's flat?
where all of this goes.
I see too far. How's that?
Don't take advice from fools.
Because you're an idiot.
Everything that they say is in vain.
I'm manipulating my position.
Never take advice from fools. We all know what they do is in vain.
Do I manipulate my position when I manipulate my position? Do I manipulate my position when I manipulate my position?
What does your position have to do with the shape of the Earth?
You have an angle towards this.
You can also prove a flat Earth by measuring angles.
Observe, which is
How
already
useful
too far
for
to
proving a
see.
flat Earth?
Now that is scientific fact. There's no real evidence for it, but it is scientific fact.
The rebuttal is actually a straw man. And that's, why I want to clarify, because I think that's worth pointing out, that the rebuttal was a straw man. Nowhere in the argument is the words level plane even mentioned. Topography is not mentioned. And it's only about the elevation change, which is a measured change on the vertical datum. There is no conflation between baseline and topography in the argument. It's just a simple if-then argument about elevation change. And obviously the Earth is not flat because of elevation change. That's what the argument is about. I mean, we can read it out, the entire if-then, again, if it's needed.
Give me one more time, just so I can hear it again. Sorry, say it one more time.
If the Earth is flat, P,
Okay.
then there would be no measurable change in elevation. Q.
Okay.
Elevation is a measured change in the vertical axis, therefore not Q.
Therefore, Earth is not flat.
But the refutation to the argument being that there's some sort of conflation going on between a baseline and topography is just a straw man, because that's not the case for anybody who actually reads the argument. That's my point.
Well, it's not an argument because you're convoluting the baseline from which you will measure, which is your mean sea level. You're convoluting that with the topology you're trying to measure. So it's not an argument. Just you're misusing words.
And me stating the fact that mean sea level is a point on a vertical datum and not a level plane is just a statement of fact. Mean sea level is not a level plane, it's simply a point on a vertical datum. That's all.
Yes, but it's not a level. You don't understand that. What you just said.
Stupid non-argument, you stupid bonehead!
Okay, again, I can use the scientific method to prove the Earth is flat. Not the Earth is flat because of scientific method. There's a difference. Shape is not science, but I can use the scientific method, to show that it is flat.
Why do we have to listen to this incessant verbal diarrhea with the verbatim repetition of it? Bird it!
Just be patient, guys. This happened before.
Well, I was just wondering, when you were talking about proof of your flat Earth, is that the same proof as the proof that you were talking about with Jaron in science?
I answered the first two times. I said no, twice.
You don't understand.
Earth is not flat.
You don't understand.
Earth is not flat.
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
Where's the science for a stationary Earth? Okay, way to demonstrate that you don't understand what science is without saying you don't understand what science is. Because science deals with cause and effect relationships. Though natural science, that's the study of the physical and natural world, is what we are dealing with here on Flat Earth Debate. Now that is exclusively the singular, scientific method. That is exclusively illuminating the cause of naturally occurring phenomena. So when you say, what's the science for stationary Earth?
Should I show you how it's possible, mate?
Okay. you're so used to being told that you can prove concrete nouns with science.
By using scientific method to prove the earth is flat.
Prove concrete nouns with science, do you expect us to adhere to that non-standard?
Not the earth is flat.
Earth is not flat. Earth is not flat.
Not the earth is flat.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
Because of scientific method. Shape is not science, but I can use the scientific method to prove the earth is flat.
You can prove concrete nouns with science, do you expect us to adhere to that non-standard? It's not a cause and effect relationship that you're asking about. So when you say flat earth...
Should I show you how it's possible, mate?
Measuring things is not scientific. Yes, that's correct.
By using scientific method to prove the earth is flat.
That's not something happening. That's not an occurrence. That's not a phenomenon. You're not going to get an IVDV relationship.
You are going to manipulate my position when I manipulate my position.
It's absurd to ask us for the science of flat earth.
You can use method, the scientific method, to show that it is flat.
No, you can ask for the measurements of flat earth, the geometry of flat earth.
Okay, measuring things is not scientific. Yes, that's correct.
The practical application of flat earth, you can ask for all those things and we can provide them.
You don't understand.
Earth is not flat.
Not the earth is flat.
You don't understand.
Not the earth is flat.
Earth is not flat.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
To a ground position.
Just on your own.
But asking for the science of a concrete noun demonstrates you don't understand what science is.
To a ground position.
No reason.
To start.
No logic.
Ground position.
No wisdom.
To start.
No worries.
It's elucidating the cause of an effect, and the effect
You're just on your own.
exclusively natural. Only natural.
Does that lie within the bounds of science?
No. Ground position. To start.
On your own.
So what about the proof then, right? Does the proof of flat earth, does that lie within the bounds of science?
No.
Well, it's not an argument because you're convoluting the baseline from which you will measure, which is your mean sea level. You're convoluting that with the topology you're trying to measure. So it's not an argument. Just you're misusing words.
What does that have to do with the shape of the earth?
Sphere, not see thing. Flat, I see thing. I will get triggered now because he's a dishonest prick. You can use the scientific method to prove it's flat. Flat itself is not a science. You want to know how I can use science to prove it's flat? Have you ever thought of that? How do you do it?
Was that your
Proof.
exit? Are you going to try and plug your shit on my channel?
No, why would I want to do that?
Lost. If you're telling me you're going, I didn't thank you in return, you noticed.
Yeah. Keep watching Nathan Oakley. And we are live. Welcome everyone. It is, as always, Friday, free for all Friday. Everybody's welcome, but I mean, mainly for those of us here, we've had a bit of a well, I don't know. I mean, things move all the time, like they are doing at the minute. You say, well, I can't get much worse than this, could it? Or couldn't get more stupider, more ridiculous. But yeah, it does. It does. So you, like, the way to make it worse, more ridiculous, stupider, funnier, is just to say it. Surely it couldn't get much worse than this. Here we are. What a week. Obviously, because we're into the new year, 2024, everybody has these, like, New Year's resolutions. And it seems like, let's say this arena sort of shook up with new directions and everything. Obviously, I don't want to say it was us that started it off, but I mean, we've been saying for a fair bit this has got stale, this place. We've never been, I mean, like, we've never even been in it. But it just turned into a ridiculous farce, really. Is there a ridiculous farce? Is there such a thing? Well, yeah, it's just got more and more ridiculous to the point that, you know, they've never really had an argument. And as we've been developing advanced simplicity to try and help people out that don't have arguments to maybe gain an argument, gain an understanding on how to formulate an argument or whatever, they've just pushed back at every turn. Even when we make the arguments as simple as possible. Like, even down to the point, because there's been a lot of optics involved in this arena. And when we bring it down to their sort of level and go, look, it's not flat. Just look at it. Not flat. They can't have that. They sort of double down, treble down. It just gets even more and more ridiculous. All right, what's this? Aldebar, thank you very much. I don't know if you've listened to any of the stuff we've done today, but if you do fancy, you know, wasting an afternoon or something, you watch those 2 videos that we've gone over today. It was sort of a full day that we did, and it's like we've relived it again today. Started about dinner time, and, you know, 8 hours of conversation later, here we are again, ready to do a live stream. So what's this? I'm going to read this here now. Elderbear's put a thing in the chat. You can probably see it. It says that this is from Divergent Droid. Hey, Bev, are you claiming that over all surface of the oceans are not flat as compared to the stated Earth curvature of 3959 mile radius? Because if you are, you got problems. You do know, don't you, that the surface of the sea are a 70% part of the covered Earth in the globe model, do you not? Oh, nice. Somebody's give you a number, 70%, and you've told me. Yeah, well done, Divergent Droid. Just parrot the words of Shadow Giants. Somebody told you 70%. You don't know, but you're willing to ask me something. Says, didn't you get all that from a globe model given to you from those with a flat Earth model, flat model? Do you have a list of acceptable globe claims versus non-acceptable claims? Elderbert, no, the globe model people gave me that information. I just compared that to demonstrable reality. 70%. Nice. Be interested to see how you worked out your comparing percentages. Mathematically, anyway.
It's amazing how much you can see from the back garden, you know.
Yeah.
70% of it. I always find it strange, you know. Yeah, what is acceptable globe claims against unacceptable globe claims, you know, because a lot of the information you're just given on this journey, because I never knew what most of it, well, I still don't know, but I've been given loads of figures and speeds and facts and distances and all sorts of stuff, and a whole picture has been offered to me that I was told not to believe. You know, if you don't know it, you just believe it, then discard it. And then given a load of flat Earth model facts and figures and pictures and ideas and speculations to replace it. And a lot of those are based on the things I was told not to imagine in the first place. So it's been a really difficult thing to just separate all this stuff and put to one side and, work out what is actually real in here, and then come into this place of reality to measure it against that and think, what do we actually know? What do we really know about anything? And be happy with what we know and what we don't know. And I guess Brian was saying, I should take the Earth as a whole, but he hasn't seen the whole. Nobody has, so it's kind of difficult. I mean, we've got powerful imagination. Of course, we can always imagine lots and lots of stuff, but we've been given things to imagine. That's the thing. And yeah, I find, having come back to this beginning spot, to the start and a straight line and a horizontal basic reality. And then I'll work it out from there and find out what's more and more truthful for me, or how far I might see, or what I can wonder wherever I travel. And create see my own experience and understand what that is. With the knowledge that I may never, ever know all of it, anything, or all of everything. I know I won't know all of everything. I mean, maybe someplace, somewhere, sometime, but yeah, imagination is very powerful, and people put this stuff in your mind. It's the thing. It was interesting listening today back to that stream because.
How did you think you
Yeah,
did? Obviously, once you're in
weird.
it, you're not aware of it, are you? You don't really know what's
No.
going on when you're in it. So obviously, then you have a chance to have a listen, and you've gone to Nathan Oakley's, right, to listen to that. And then, so
Yeah.
what's your impression of what you actually heard of yourself today, compared to, your idea of what it was back
Yeah,
then?
yeah. Well, my head has still been in the moment of what was happening. As it happened. And I've kind of run that through my head a bit, as you do. And at the time, I thought that I was pretty raucous in my mind. I felt like I was not very eloquent, particularly. But there's a lot of the mirror stuff. I kind of had, because I never went to Nathan Oakley. He wasn't one of the people I ever went to see. I'd heard about him. I looked at a few of his videos and just didn't like the way he was. I don't like the look of him. Whatever. It's just, we're attracted to different people. Certain people give out a certain energy or whatever, and I wasn't attracted to him to look at. Excuse me. And certainly not his style. But I kind of dipped in and out of that. So I'd had a kind of an idea about who he was, and I'd seen what he'd done, and then I'd listened to some other videos where he was in, and some of the stuff, some of your past stuff, and saw the way he treated women and the way he was with people and how he muted people. And I didn't understand, the technology he had to mute people, in that somewhere, as soon as your voice comes into his system, it shuts it down. And I'd imagined, gee, this guy's quick, because I imagined he was, actually physically using his mouse to mute people. And I thought, wow, he's quite clever, because he'll, somebody will give a response. He'll use two of their first words that they say, stop it. And then he'll turn those two words into a narrative that he wants, that suits him, and that makes him look good, as if you've agreed to him. And I thought, wow, he doesn't give anybody a chance. So, my mind, well, I never thought I'd, I said I was a newbie, but he doesn't consider I'm a newbie somehow, because it's only, 16 months or so but, in comparison, I think, with like 10 years that he's got under his belt, I thought that was pretty new. And as I said the other day, it's maybe 2 months that I've even consider this argument that I've found here in this geometric concept and image in my mind and thoughts about that, and that's only developed in a really short time. But yeah, I had you know, an image of him, and so I thought I'm never going to get on his. Well, I never thought this would come, to be quite honest, that I would even be speaking to him, because you know he's nothing much, but you know, when you see characters around who are the leaders, inverted commas, and the faces and the people who are pulling the crowds, if you like, you know, you're kind of looking at a distance and don't think you're going to approach. But I didn't really consider I'd be able to get into his stream because of the way he acts, and I thought, well, I'm going to need a really tight argument if I go in there, or something, you know, relevant to say, because he just, you know, walks all over people. So when he appeared in the Earth Awakenings, it was just it was an off the cuff moment, really, that I asked a question, and luckily they allowed it, because you know you can go to these places and you can talk, and people just talk over you, so you don't get an in. You wait for a space, a bit of silence, and you say something, and it's almost as like nobody heard me. And I think it's something wrong with my mic or something. And there's this kind of, I don't know, some kind of protocol goes on. Oh, we don't know who this is. We pay no attention, you know. So I'd asked him some questions, and then he couldn't mute me there over Earth Awakenings, because he doesn't have that power. So, you know, I was able to talk, but I did get muted by somebody in that stream, but and eventually, yes, I got muted. And it was a red mic, and I thought, oh, that means I'm out. But it became the end of our conversation. It was just the place where he was saying, "Well, so you think it's a point, do you? Sea level's a point, a point?" And I said, you know, and I hadn't got to the place of explaining something like Newlin, that brass bolt physically in the earth that marks a certain elevation, that, you know, we will start from here and we will map out the whole of the UK from this point. This is our start point. And that was what I meant. But, you know, he wasn't, he wanted to turn it into his argument, and, or, you know, to his advantage. And so I didn't get the chance to speak to him anymore. And then I listened to his stream of that, and it was even more muted. And then he was saying, you know, that he totally crushed me, and I thought, well, that's not the reality that I was in. You know, he didn't crush me because we didn't really talk about much. I just began to ask him, where's this flat bit? You know, he tried to ridicule flat bit, and then a few people kind of came to his aid and stuff. And so I kind of mulled it over in my mind, and I thought about it quite a bit, really. And then then this thing happened, and I jumped into his Discord. I had to do VC that day, and my phone was running out of battery, and I was picking my daughter up from school, and I was thinking, oh God, you know, can I do this VC in the car while I'm waiting by the school? Have I got enough battery? And I didn't want to jump into something without, you know, and then I got a crackly mic and all that. So, you know, I got in, and then, yeah, I don't know, it just happened. But yeah, so at the time, yeah, I thought it was a bit rough around the edges, but I did feel quite confident. The picture in my mind about what I could see, and the emptiness. Plus, I'd heard a QE stream, and I'd heard them talking. You know, that they hadn't got. You know, they were falling apart really as a team, and I heard them talking about it.
Yeah, you
It was
sounded
there.
like you talked to them, like, or at least, you know, you listened to a bit of stuff, and you know, like, you're obviously an observant chap, and I have to point out to everybody, Elder Bear, sorry, I nearly didn't see that. That's how new it is.
To get right.
He's not been around for that long. This is a genuine new guy to this arena, and I consider myself lucky to have met him and had a chance to chat to him before his mind's been clouded by everybody else. Because there seems to be a lot of people that are making their mind up on people by the words of other people. They're jumping to conclusions and making judgments upon people without actually giving them a fair hearing. And luckily, Elder Bear, he's just a regular guy. That's the way I consider the conversations we have. It's much easier. Like Nathan Oakley was taking the piss out of me talking about street poetry. But sometimes some people understand the street stuff. The other stuff sounds far too intellectual or whatever. You've got to make it more accessible to everybody. And Elder Bear is the sort of new guy that you want in this arena. You preferably want some more women in it as well. You don't want to be trying to push them out. So that display that Nathan gives, like, I don't think that's encouraging to people. If other people are like looking in and seeing that, to me, they're never going to go, oh, I'll tell you what, I want to go and have that conversation. I want to be part of that conversation. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't want to be getting slandered and talked about like that just because you talk to somebody else in a different server. But that's the way Nathan Oakley's making this. They've developed a sort of a ritual. But, I mean, it's not theirs. I mean, they've got it from another group of people. Similar thing. Model afflicted people seem crazy.
I was just looking at my profile and you know, I joined Discord a number of years ago, but only because my TV provider sends us messages through Discord. That was all I had. That was the only connection I had to Discord, was through this thing. Never heard of it before, really. I had or explored it, and for it to be what it is to me now, I can't see when I first became a member of OTL. I can't see it on my thing, but it's not long ago. It really isn't long ago, and I came in one Saturday. It weren't live. I just came into the room and just began chatting. I had to get over the BC bit, really. You know, I had to get over, you know, speaking to nobody. These voices that I never met, people I'd never met. You know, I mean, I can walk into a room normally and chat to people. You know, that's you know, reality. A lot of people can do that, but this medium of talking online is quite a thing to learn and to kind of become at ease with yourself. So, you know, I went over there and had a chat a bit, and of course, you know, I knew in my mind, well, they'd be thinking, who the hell is this guy, sort of thing, you know. But I said to them, you know, you have my VC virginity. You've taken it, you know, and I'll give it to you, because this was the first place that I felt. I hadn't listened to it because, you know, until you're VC, you don't hear what's going on. You know, I listened to some videos, and it was the first place that I felt like I could speak, that I would even try it. You know, it certainly wouldn't be to Nathan Oakley's stream. It wouldn't be into the middle of Discord. You know, you'd have to know I feel you'd have to know something about something, really, in order to, you know, take it on, really, because you're going to get challenged, and it's not really a sit around. Well, for some of the guys, I guess I listen to some in the afternoon. Maybe they'll be OGs hanging around, nothing much, and waiting for a Glober to come along to take the piss out of, basically. But yeah. So really, genuinely, I really don't know. It can only be 2 ago-ish, 3 months at the most. So I can't see the date when I first joined OTL, but yeah. So that was, and I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know anything about this geometric argument, this whole concept of horizontals and parallels, and what that meant. Really, what that meant, and it grew in me, and it changed my reality, changed the way I think, changed the way I feel about things, and you know, it's something that I can validate in my life. You know, it's not an imagined thing about gas containers or gas pressure or gravity or gravitational lensing or Michelson Morley, Dayton Miller, Einstein. Lorentz, all this stuff that I've heard, you know, because I'm quite diligent. You know, I do study things, you know, that I get interested in, and I was just came to look to see, you know, what this flat Earth thing was about and whether they were all nutters like everybody was telling me, because that's what they said. Yeah, those flat Earthers, they've lost it. You know, so you know, I guess a bit of me didn't want to go there at previous times. It wasn't important, and it just rose up in my life and appeared. And I thought, well, I'd better go and have a look then, just so that I can say, yeah, they are a bunch of nutters, if that's what I found out. But I didn't find that. So on that journey, I didn't really take much notice of Nathan Oakley. But anyway, so I found myself, yes, in that stream, and yeah, I had seen something. I'd heard them talking about it. I realized they hadn't got anything. Adam was questioning, you know, it's all fine for an argument, he said, this tagline, the earth is measured flat. It's good, he said, to win an argument based on the things they have. But, you know, he said, well, you know, what about those who seek more knowledge, who want to know more about it, you know, like I do, he said, he did. What then, you know, because, you know, what is the, how did we measure it flat, basically? And they said, you know, they hadn't had the presentation. I thought, gee, they haven't got anything. They actually haven't got anything. And it cemented some feelings within me, you know, that you know, that established some other ideas that I'd only just got hold of, basically. And, you know, so, you know, I'm sort of riding by the skin of my teeth there with just fixed in one place, you know, this horizontal, and this idea that it's measured flat, and that, you know, I had understood that, you know, you have to establish a horizontal. It's not there until you establish it. And it isn't the earth. You measure the earth from the horizontal. So, you know, this is what I've been asking. Where's this flat bit then? Where is this flat earth? You know, where is it? It's not that, because the sea's not the earth. So, you know, when I turn away from the beach and look towards the land, where is it? You know, how can I imagine an experience about that? Is all the other stuff hung underneath that's beneath the sea? How, you know, if because it feels almost impossible to imagine the whole, but you know, we do that. We try and think, well, what is it really? What could it be based on the information I have? And I try not to go there now. I try not to go too far. Some of that other stuff I've heard along the way may become relevant at a later point. You know, I heard Bev talking about some things the other day that were stunning about how the meter is being linked to the speed of light, which just was astounding to me. And that, you know, but anyway, you know, and that's not horizontal. That is something else that is important.
Because you're at the beginning of it, right? And everybody always comes in, and there is a beginning of whatever. And me and Spot on, the first thing we were lucky enough to do, right? Whether it was by luck, chance, logos, or whatever, but we went to the first principles and then thought, well, you can see geometry, but we were challenged to be able to, you know, prove it, is what somebody said to us. They asked us to prove something that, like, we already knew. It was an axiom, right? A presumed axiom. But how do you prove it? And they gave us level being horizontal. Well, that's just a straight line, isn't it? And that, like, how can you not link that to the geometric proof of simple Euclid? You're talking about first principles sort of stuff, aren't you? And if you can't relate level to this geometric property in any sort of way that other than logic, right, to go through all of the principles and everything, but if you can't relate those things together, the geometry, the level from reality, and the logical process of linking them together, I mean, that's the trifecta, right? we were just lucky that we were given that. So when you say, you know, Nathan Oakley says we've measured it flat, well, that's literally what me and Spot On were doing. We were right at the meta of that. You know, like how do we make this link between these three things in reality? Because we're just simple people.
Yeah.
And somebody's challenged you, but I mean, you get challenged all the time. And then at some point, like one of us said, well, we can do this, can't we? And yeah, we did it. And anybody can do it too. It's not a difficult thing to go through that process, to realize how can you relate this geometric proof to these basic concepts with elements in reality. If you can't do that, then like what are you doing here? Just sat in rooms talking to people about fantasy stuff, imagining things.
Well, yeah, I mean, I hadn't found the answer.
Yeah.
You know, if I'd have found what I felt was the answer, then that would have been done. You know, the journey would be done. It would lead to another journey. It does. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it would be, but that's what happens in my life. I've gone on journeys, and then they've come to some point. Some have been comfortable. Some have been pretty uncomfortable. Come to an end of, but something else then appears. And then gradually you kind of have this faith that it's okay, something will come, you know.
Yeah.
So I hadn't found that. You know, and so, yeah, I mean, this idea that this is pedantic and semantic, to me, it's not. It's the 2 + 2 = 4. If it's the 2 + 2 = 5 at this point, then everything else is going to go wrong. And I'm not going to be able to see clearly some truth that I need to see for me, just for me, you know, maybe others would need that too. So I don't see it as being pedantic because it makes a difference to my experience beyond this supposed pedantic argument about the earth being measured flat, you know, because it's about truth. And I don't know what truth will reveal itself if I hold on to this truth and I make it part of me. It will, I believe that somewhere it'll lead to another truth that I don't know about yet. They'll connect, it'll just make connections. Yeah, so yeah, but going back to the Nathan thing, that yeah, well, the image I had in my mind was, you know, I was a bit, I mean, like I said before, you know, you're eloquent, Bev, you've been around with this, you've sat with it a while, you know, some good arguments, and you've, you know, you've got good rhetoric, you practice it, and I didn't feel, you know, measuring myself against that, you know, you were there, and I was there, flying, you know, by the skin of my teeth, really. It
I
felt
was
like that, at
surprised
least.
how much more of it there was of you. Like I was
Yes, me
surprised,
too.
really. Yeah. Yeah,
I was
thought you did
shocked.
really
Yeah.
well.
It went by in a flash.
Yeah.
In my mind, like things do, you know. And I thought, I felt okay with it. You know, I felt like, he had nothing. You know, I got more confident with it as it went along because I just realised he's just a little shit. Excuse me,
Bully
but
boy
he is.
tactics. You could see him, right?
Yes. Yeah.
If you know what you've been dealing with, right, and but everybody within this arena is sort of Nathan's fit into the routine. You're just a new guy, and obviously
Yeah.
there's been other guys that have been round there, right? But they've been Globers, so he's always got this ability. Everybody cheers him on and all of that. But you were obviously different. That was, I think that was fresh. I think people noticed it when people were listening to it. From, you know, from my streams anyway, right? People can definitely tell the difference.
Yeah, from my experience, you know, people who go over there, you know, they are fixed to something, and I'm not fixed to anything. Yeah, and I realised I never really was fixed to something, those models at all. Really, I'd say there's some subconscious things that go on, you know, and if you say like, you know, go down south, down, you know, as if it's, you know, an orientation. It's just, you know, words you use, going up north, down south, you know, whatever that means. We know we're not going up in the air. We know we're not going down. You know, it's just terms we use, you know. So, you know, subconsciously, though, there is something connected to that if you really want to look at it.
Well, once you've
You know,
been around here for long enough, you will get to understand that you ask somebody what elevation they're at before you say whether you're going up or down.
Yeah, going up or down.
Yeah.
Well, up for a bit, then down for a bit, and then a little bit higher. That's where I am. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, this is interesting. Yes, it's funny how your language changes in a way, because I do hear people now call it the atmos. They don't want to add the other bit on the end.
No, you don't have the S. It's not even any S. It's just atmo. Air.
Oh, okay. Well, that's even
shape,
shorter, then.
Right?
So, thank you. Yeah, I'll remember that. See, another little thing.
That was one of the first things that we learned to do away with. Like all of these little, call them magic words or whatever. But you know, like once you fall into that comfortable use of the contradiction or whatever, if you're, it doesn't matter whether you're saying it or, you know, like whether you understand what it means. If you're still saying the words, you can fit into that little routine.
Yeah. Yeah, and remembering, like, you know, don't mention the not that. You know, those things that paint those, reinforce those pictures for people as well as yourself. You know, when you're talking about it, that's for me, you know, a difficult thing in the terms of self-observation. You know, those things because I don't like cliches in my life. That's one thing I don't like. You know, it just feels you're part of some club if you have a cliche. You know, and it's hard. You know, I've got one, the arena. The arena's a cliche. I don't feel comfortable with it when I say it, but you know, because it comes from this thing. But anyway, maybe I should use the Colosseum, and then everybody else use the Colosseum, and then it'll become one of those things I'll have to let go of. But that's just language. But where was I going with that? Yes, you know, using certain words that you realize will reinforce that to my children or other people around me. You know, that you're reinforcing an image that you don't know about, you're not sure about.
Or maybe they're just contradictory, right? It's like
so they contradict.
I mean, that one was atmosphere.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how old you are. Remember Russ Abbott?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. See, now that's a song about I don't know what, like that atmosphere is some sort of thing. It's people, and you know,
that party song. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah, it just came to me. Yeah, the song. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's got a different meaning than the connotations within this arena. Yeah, you still use it out there.
Yeah.
Shape of air. It has no shape.
But, subtle, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, how can you use it? It's equivocal, right? Equivocal, but equivocal. It means it's sounds the same, but not necessarily the same word. And people will use that to play tricks. It's a type of form of sophistry. And there's loads of it. You know, there's more and more. So we're always welcome for anybody to bring any of those up. But, you know, like you said that, we were talking about the meter. Well, the meter is, that's a model-based thing. So every time you're saying a meter is a distance, then you're talking about a portion of a model.
I can't cope. I'm running out of words. It's funny, really.
There's loads of that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So as I was talking to him, I was kind of realizing, you know, confidence in what I was visualizing. and that his response to that was confirmation that he didn't have anything. And so, I kept pushing it. I mean, there's a bit of a mirror. I was thinking, I got a bit too, at the time I felt I was a bit too mirroring of him, and I thought I perhaps got angry or expressed that was in my mind. What triggered me most was the thing about Rachie. That I just thought was really dirty, and
he continued to do it as well. He must know he's
yes,
doing that,
yeah,
surely.
and I just felt, and how I've seen women treated, with that. I just thought it was just, if that was anybody to do with me and my family, I'd hunt him down.
Well,
Sorry.
You could definitely see that what he was doing was sort of, he was trying to antagonize, and they do it a lot. These little jabs, and then they, what are you talking about? I didn't mean it. Like, it's like, yes, you did. You could hear. You do it all the time. He was doing it like when you were talking to somebody else. He's like having these little jabs from the peanut gallery, but then he takes over the conversation.
He doesn't want anybody else to have the glory.
Yeah.
But that really, because it's this leader thing, because
but that's what the point, right? He does it with the women as well. He did, like, he's equal opportunities, I think Emma says.
Yeah.
I mean, for curved water, but I mean, an equal opportunities. Fucking vile cunt was the words. I think that's and that's what Nathan is. He doesn't care. He'll have a go at anyone. It doesn't really matter.
No, my concept of leadership is just not that. It's I haven't seen. I've read about it. I've been around some people I thought were it, or could have been it, or should have been it, and weren't, through all sorts of circumstances. So I have a feeling in my head about leadership, about who those people are, and that they come from the respect of the people around them and the trust of the people around them, and somebody who's not going to enslave me through their leadership, that they're above me. There isn't anybody. It shouldn't be like that. It should be equal, and people just know something and help people, and they have some position in within the group, the community, the society, whatever it is, right up to, if they can only choose Biden and Trump, if that's the only choice they've got, we're screwed. How did that ever happen? And call those people leaders. So, when he claims himself to be alpha, to be a leader, and he talks like that and he acts like that, there's no way he could live in my life. And so how can we live as humanity? That's my feeling. How can we live as humanity when there's people like that around? What do you do with people like that? Because in my life, I couldn't have him near me. In reality, I just couldn't.
As a leader, counselor, or
as a human. No, even as a human.
Yeah.
And certainly, even as a human, I wouldn't. If he was my neighbor, I'd never speak to him.
Yeah, I think I'd be the same. I don't.
And
I don't particularly talk to a lot of people, right? Maybe because of whenever I do talk to people, particularly within this arena, there's a weird reaction, right? I mean, now I can't go around just talking to anybody and like expecting them to get triggered, like Jem Panda or Nathan Oakley or whatever. I mean, I literally talk to these people like I'd talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And the reaction.
I mean, my reality,
is crazy.
In my reality, I talk to anybody, and whether it's the checkout girl, or the person I meet with my dog, anybody, and crack jokes and put them in strange situations in their head, just odd, not game playing, but just making something light of the day, maybe. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
we've been out there recording, doing these tests, talking to people. I've never talked to anybody like the people that you meet on this within this little arena. It's crazy. They're not real people. Yet they're the ones that consider themselves as leaders, calling themselves alphas.
Yeah.
It's madness.
And I have, I can, I can respect people. I can be an Indian or I could be a chief. I'm an Indian. I need to respect the chief. If I'm a chief, well, I need to be as good as the chief I wanted somebody to be to me. That's more challenging, much more challenging. To consider that or to even get near those positions, they're something big to carry, I find. But yeah, I mean, I'd gone through the clinical problem we had running around the universe a while back, and I kind of thought, gee, where's this all going? Where's humanity heading? And when I came to look at flat Earth, this question, I then came across some what appeared to be fairly young people, 30s maybe at the most, or that in my imagination. And I thought, wow, I felt really uplifted and felt a bit more optimistic that there were people asking questions and pushing against the system. And there was this community of people who were going to rise up and challenge the system. I thought, wow, it could happen. People could, make a space for themselves. Maybe this isn't going to be, well, you can't look too far, can you? Maybe this isn't going to be as much of a doom as I'd imagined it might be. So I was, uplifted by it, and I kind of imagined, this group of people that had an ideal of I don't know, a nirvana that might fit mine somehow, somewhere. Even if you have to compromise yourself to live amongst it, as we do with other people and stuff, and live to learn, I'd imagined that, and then I, come to these situations to hear somebody calling themselves a leader and think, well, this isn't my people, this isn't my community, this isn't the people that I can live with safely, that I could trust, that wouldn't cheat on me, that wouldn't threaten me. And some people have threatened me physically in this arena already. So, I know they're big guys on the end of a microphone and a keyboard and all that. But yeah, and I've had that. So, and I've said to some of them, well, if you approach me, I'm going to have to take you out before you get me, because otherwise, what's going to happen? You're going to get me, aren't you? Somebody comes over the horizon shooting at you like they are in some countries. There's no politics involved. You're shooting back, you're running, or you're surrendering and saying, okay, whatever you want. It's survival. What do you do? No politics about, well, yeah, but my prime minister says this, too late.
But
so
I'm still struggling to see what they're shooting at, right? It's like, let's have a discussion to find out what you're shooting at, because you seem to be shooting at me.
Yes.
I don't know why.
Well, this is it. Yes. So I've gone from a macro, crazy kind of, world vision kind of thing in a sense. But yeah. And so, you come down to the small, and there's people like that I've met along this way, in this journey, in this topic. And yeah. And so there was a lot of mirroring of that with Nathan, because he does that, and humans do that. They kind of mirror each other. It's quite hard to not get affected, to take on their energy and be angry back and all that kind of thing. It's quite an art to not do that, and to regulate yourself and still feel whole. But anyway, yeah. So those were my feelings about it. I felt, yeah, it's all right. I felt
Well, it went
triumphant
down
in this.
well, but like people are.
Yeah, well, I hadn't until and I hadn't heard it. So then, it's a difficult thing listening to yourself, and
It
it's
always
been a bit
is.
of that's been a bit of a journey, And I think, gee, I didn't realise because you never hear yourself, do you? And I hear my voice and think, that's not me. Is that me? That's not the voice I wanted to hear.
But the problem
Well,
is,
that's not
right,
the
that if you don't hear the voice that you think you are, how do you know everybody else isn't hearing the voice that you thought you had? Like, how do you know you're not the
Yeah.
one that just hears something different?
Yeah.
Can't put yourself in anybody else's shoes. You can only be who you are.
No.
So don't be
You are,
worried
yes.
about what you sound like.
No.
The best way to do it is to think that it's a different person, and like then you can criticize them. Well, yeah, I wouldn't have said that. Next time,
I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
I can adapt quite well. So, I've now become, I'm getting used to it. It's a new medium, I haven't had to listen to myself much in those terms, might sing around a bit, and that's kind of different. But as you can have a different voice in that, yeah, plus it's something deeper than that. It's about hearing your own soul from outside of yourself. That's the strange feeling. But I'm okay. I'm adapting and getting used to it. So I hadn't listened, and I was intrigued to listen to his live stream of that Earth Awakenings, and I realized how much he chopped out of it, and I expected he would, but being part of that, you think, well, where did that go? I remember saying X, Y, and Z to him, and
remember you saying
and now it's
things and
gone.
then not hearing
Yes,
them and thinking
you're waiting for it to come up.
Yeah.
You think, oh yes, I remember I said this. He's going to fall into this little hole here, or oh God, I wish I hadn't have said that. It's coming. Oh, and it wasn't there, So that was really strange, So I'd kind of been thinking about it. I was a bit not really angry. I was kind of disturbed about it all, really, and about how that had gone down, and because there was a fallout. I think that was more the thing. There was an aftermath and a fallout to that. So since then, I've been over to other Discord servers 24/7 or Earth Awakenings, and sat in those rooms and maybe said a few things. Nothing too much. Nothing that I considered to be controversial or offensive or anything like that, really. Largely, I'll say it's because they thought I was supporting you. That was more the reason, I think, than what I said.
Where did that come from, right? Because somebody must
Well,
have told them that. You weren't going around saying that, like I've been over here and I've talked to Bev, and I've been over here and I've talked to these guys in this server, right? Because you've been to other places.
Yeah, but they're spies. Yes, yeah, spies, and I think they go, they can see where you might sit for a while, or not that means anything, because I said to Nathan, well, I'm here in your server. Does that mean I'm one of you because I'm here? And I've listened, I wasn't here before, but I was listening on YouTube to your stream or Wix's stream or your stream, all the people I've listened to along the way, it didn't mean I was any one of those. It's just that they weren't enough. I was looking for something else. And up to this point, as I've said, I found this, and it gave me a voice. It gave me, an opportunity to talk to some people.
I always use that. I thought, right, when I first started here in this arena, they were doing that sort of thing, right? They used to say, oh, you sound like Del, and you sound like Nathan. Yeah. And I was like, who's Del? Who's Nathan?
Yeah.
Like, how can I be? Yeah. And then I sort of thought, oh, I see why they do it. What they do is they say, you sound like such and such a person. And then when you go, like, I don't know who that is. then they'll go to Dell or Nathan and say, "Hey, Nathan, this new guy doesn't know who you are. Yeah, he's denouncing you in your arguments because he, you know." So it's a way of division. And like when you hear Nathan Oakley doing it, you're thinking, all right, now, aren't these people in this community meant to be truth seekers, let's say? Now, why would they be doing this divisionary tactic if they wanted to gain information? Surely you communicate with as many people as possible to get to the truth of whatever it is. Why are you trying to put division into it? It makes no sense.
Stop people seeking. You know, that was the thing. You know, I came here because somebody said, don't go there, particularly Nathan. You know, don't go there. Unsubscribe. You know, and I'd heard your name a bit, not lots, just a bit, and you weren't. What was the word? You weren't apparent to me. You know, I didn't see, big stream. I didn't see, you popping up in debates. You weren't debating Witsit or some Globers on MDD or Jeranism or whatever. You weren't one of those people. It was kind of felt like, oh, he's a small fish in this somewhere. He's got some odd thing, an aspect of flat Earth. I'd kind of imagine it was that. But don't go there. And it made me go there. They're the places we should go, because that's what the system was tells us all the time. But like with the medical crisis we had, that's what they were saying. The people that I was looking to for information, doctors, experts, scientists, ex-VP of Pfizer or whatever, and I sought them out for their information. They were being shut down and cancelled and stopped. Don't go there. Don't speak to those people. They were vilified. They're not and then when you referenced them or spoke about them, then a whole pack of people jump on you and say, oh, you're following that. He's a conspiracy theorist, and all that stuff. So so that made me, that made me go and look. Well, what are they talking about over there then? And I was early on it. Some of the it was strange. I was early on, following some connections I found within things from a doctor in New York who was. I can't say too much about this stuff, but a doctor in New York who was in emergency room, and he was arguing against the use of ventilators, as an early intervention. It was like a knee-jerk reaction. That's what you do. You take control of the lungs, and you that's what you deal with. And he was arguing against it. So that wasn't his observation. And I found what he was saying was really compelling. It was interesting. It got me looking at all sorts of stuff, science bits, and clinical stuff, and trying to understand what he was saying. To it was just, I don't know, it was just part of what I was doing, and that began to give me next things to follow and to look for, and people are, language I saw, words I saw, that I thought, oh, okay, they're talking about that. That's interesting. I got in amongst some very, very clever people, and some of the stuff I just, I really didn't understand. It took me a long while just to get a grip of what they were talking about, but it made sense. It gave me a lot of clarity about that. So I'm not, so don't go looking there is the reason to go looking there. So that's what I did, and yes, but recently, of the aftermath of this Nathan thing, is that the places that I've been. So just before Christmas, I got a 2-day ban on 24/7, and that changed something within me. And I was getting called a bevtard, and it was because of a link to you at that time. I forget what I'd said. Oh, I was asking some questions about what the look of, the look of the flat Earth, the outward facing image, because I was thinking if people come along to this and they look at this arena or this question, and then they go on Twitter or they come across some of the big faces of this question, and particularly there's a guy, Caleb, who's on TikTok. That's a big place where lots of kids go. He's got a big following. I don't know, 150, 200,000 followers there. Pretty much most of the flat earthers of note, the names weren't going to TikTok. They only just discovered it within the past few months, and maybe it's a new revenue stream or a new
It's
audience.
not doing well on Twitter, telling you that.
No, well, he was the biggest. No, he was the biggest guy there, and they came across him, but he was kind of a Witzer clone. Yeah, Caleb
Yeah,
FT.
he was the biggest guy on TikTok, but then he decided
He
to
was,
come
yeah.
to Twitter and YouTube,
Mhm.
and it didn't
Yeah,
go as well
but
as
that's
he
through
thought
that.
because it's a different
No.
sort of medium, isn't it? TikTok.
Yeah. Well, he
Doesn't
kind of
work.
made the cross. They both made a crossover from TikTok back this way to YouTube and Rumble and Debatism and all that. And Jaron and Witsit and those people made a journey to TikTok and to that audience.
Yeah, but see, that's part of the trick. Nathan Oakley at the minute thinks flat Earth's getting big. Now, don't get me wrong, Dave Weiss is doing a good job with his app, right? He's putting more people on this app. So, I mean, that's more people into the flat Earth movement because, I mean, he's doing well. But this idea of TikTok and Caleb putting millions of people on the flat Earth map, I mean, come on, it's TikTok. Like, what do you think?
Millions.
That's not reality at all. It's not got a clue about anything.
But it felt to me a youthful platform, and it's like the people that I imagine are listening and are connected to that.
Well, that's not even the flat Earth that Nathan Oakley is. It's not even the QE
totally
flat Earth or Arwin flat Earth. I mean, they're a complete different thing. So Nathan Oakley trying to jump on the flat Earth's getting big, expecting him can just jump in with Caleb. I mean, come on, he's got to be getting real with this.
Yeah. But, for me, it was, recently, Caleb's been coming out with some really crazy stuff, posting pictures of Hitler and anti-Semitic stuff. And
yeah, they're going to destroy flat Earth, obviously. I mean, I think Nathan Oakley's doing his bit. I mean, if the idea is to make flat Earth look ridiculous, there's a joint effort.
Yes.
They're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah. And then the biblical thing that happened recently, and then the language was changing. So people are now using satanic and evil to describe globers or anybody who teaches their children they're living on a spinning space ball. So, that's been gathering pace. And I was only asking, well, what do you think then? Do you think this is a good image? Is this who you are? Do they represent you? Are they who you imagine people will look at when they talk about the flat Earth, that they'll look at these people and the language they use, and Oakley too, I mean, the way he speaks and all that, is this a good representation of the people of the community, if you like, inverted commas, whatever that is. And I only asked that question and I was told, you don't mention anybody in the flat Earth, for 24 hours, you will only talk about the flat Earth and nobody in it. And I sort of questioned why that would be. And the person who came along, he just appeared out of nowhere. He wasn't in the room. He just suddenly flew in from some other server somewhere, it felt, I don't know. I don't know whether they're listening somewhere else and they suddenly go in and make some action. It's a bit like them coming in the night and taking you away.
Yeah, it's
a
live
bit like
streamed
that.
onto a live thing, so they could be listening into the YouTube.
So he flew in and threatened me, and I said, well, who are you to, tell me what I should say, and what's the consequences if I don't take any notice of you? And he said, come back in 2 days. So I was immediately blocked for 2 days, and that kind of yeah, it had an effect on me, really. It was just, that was odd. And then the initial thing with the Earth Awakenings thing, and then it affected me that I realized that I needed to position myself as an individual, and I don't mind being associated with you at all. And the friendship we're kind
you're
of
welcome to
is
come and
growing.
chat anytime. And that's what we,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what we do.
and so but I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be seen as a bevtard in that sense that the people are describing it, and any more than you want to be called a flat earther. And I guess
I feel sorry, right? Because again, we've got a guy like Godzilla in the chat right now. Godzilla doesn't mind being called a flat earther, but when you've got people like Nathan Oakley and Caleb and some lesser liked elements of it that also associate themselves to this thing. I mean, let's say Jaren, right? Jaren's a flat earther. He's associating himself with known criminals that purposely call flat earthers child abusers. So Jaren's associating himself with that. He's aligning himself. You've got Nathan Oakley, who's just going to outrageously tell people to lie about things and then have a go at anybody that questions why he's doing that. And you've got Caleb that's running around with his little mustache, doing a funny walk all over the place. And that's what people associate themselves with flat earth. Now, I'm not a flat earther, but I feel a bit, aggrieved at being associated with these people.
It's almost like it's purposeful, isn't it?
Right,
like there's an actual purpose for it.
Yeah. So I mean that the TikTok thing was about more for me about kids, really. Because I know my daughter's. I don't think she goes that much on TikTok, but I know a lot of kids do. So it was that part of that. Who are these people talking to? Who are people going to come across if they happen to come and ask this question? And I wouldn't encourage. Well, if I was looking for the truth, I would never send. I couldn't send my children and say, "Listen, check Nathan Oakley out." And they go, "Oh, Dad, you're a flat earther." No. Just there's some interesting things. There's interesting knowledge to be had over there. If you're interested, I could never send my children to listen to Nathan Oakley. I do everything I could for them not to ever listen to him. That's not the person I want them to have in their lives. They might come across people in their lives anyway, but I'm not going to encourage that. I can send them here. I feel that, I can send them here and say, wow, some bloody interesting stuff going on here. If you want to learn about some things, I mean, they're not going to come into my world, are they? They're in their own world. But, it's that level of level of judgment about, judging a situation and thinking, well, would I send my children into this, and it's not that. So, and some of those things are just inappropriate, maybe. Then, but this shouldn't be inappropriate. It's about knowledge, supposedly, or truth. It's not about
reality, right? All
we're not sending them to
of reality need to be prepared for.
Yeah. So that happened, and then the Earth Awakenings thing happened, and this feeling to not isolate myself at all, but just to feel like, well, this is a growing thing. It felt, and to, just to not to be alone, but to be an individual, and they can say what they like, and no doubt I'll get labelled with this thing, but it's just to say no. I've heard some things. They're interesting to me. He's not my guru. I'm nobody's slave. I don't have a leader. I'm just listening and looking, and if this gets too boring and too laborious, I'll be gone. So don't worry about it. So and so I did a bit of that, went through that for a couple of days, and then the and then yes, I've been shut down and chucked off of 24/7 a couple of times. And the other day I was chucked off for 2 days because I spoke up when you were in a conversation with some people, and then in the chat they said, "Oh, we don't need another Bev clone here," and they kicked me for 2 days. And then I went
And
back
that's
today.
the 24/7 flat Earth
politics,
room
yeah,
within the
flat Earth
politics
one.
server.
And that was there,
You're an ambassador now over there on that.
I'm an ambassador, yes. I'm a politics
me
ambassador
too as well. So
yes, I've got the suit, and they given me a couple of handshakes to be going on with.
Yeah, we have to
So,
point out that flat Earth room is a private room. It's not part of that actual server. So
No,
they have
it's a
their
guest room.
own specific moderators, and they do control it, and they can do whatever they want. They can act as childish or whatever, and they do.
They're little hitters. They remind me of the the person who was in the supermarket, and you went in without a mask on, and they waved this boxes of masks they had, and they chased me halfway around the store trying to get me to take one. I said, "No, I'm fine, thanks, I'm fine," And then I had to take to wearing one of these bloody. There was a sunflower lanyard with my dog's whistle on, and then they saw that, and because I didn't have to go through it, then they thought, "Oh, that denotes he's vulnerable." And now it's for people who are disabled, so we'll still wear it. They must think, well, he doesn't look very disabled. But anyway, that saved all that confrontation. It was like if I felt I was still complying, but it felt like, well, I haven't got to be confronted. I haven't got to tell these, be mean to these people because they're chasing me. They'll just leave me alone, and I just cough, they'll go away. Sneeze. I used to go with my daughter into the supermarket, into the empty aisle, and sneeze really loudly. It was quite. She used to laugh. Everybody sort of scattered. It was quite funny. But yeah, so I got chucked out the other day. I'd only said a few words, and then I went back today. I think it was today, just to check to see if my ban had been lifted. And I went in, and I was bad. I was allowed in, but wasn't allowed to speak or text or anything. I'd got red. My mic was red, and I thought, wow. Gee, what have I done now? I can hear, but I can't do anything. That was kind of odd.
Yeah, well, but, that was this morning, wasn't it? Because I did go in there, and I had
that was this morning. Yes,
an update on my Arc Ascended.
Yeah,
and Peter the Great had a globe presentation. Things to do with an angle. Now, this is Peter the Great, who is, it seems like his presentation was proof for Nathan Oakley. He seems to be working for Nathan Oakley, yet he claims to be from the Globe. Now, isn't that surprising that this Globe guy's got a proof of the Globe about the things you can do with an angle?
Yeah.
Surprisingly,
and generally he's lying in wait for you. He's got a real thing going, a vendetta, personal. He's very personal, yes, and he's waits for you to arrive.
And if I wrote that, you can do fuck all with an angle for Ruhif.
Yeah,
and Nathan Oakley doesn't seem to realise. He got really upset, like he went over it again in that video that we've listened to today. How upset is Nathan Oakley about an angle? And the geometric possibility of you not being able to do anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah, and even if you're there, he'll be summoned. One of the underlings will summon him from his lair or his cell somewhere he appears from, and comes over. But yeah, he presents things, and you have to agree or disagree, or he won't go on. Okay, that's as far as we can go then. So he plays his games. But yeah, so that was that. And so this morning I thought, maybe I should pop over to Nathan's again and kind of, build some bridges in a way. Yeah, and I was thinking, well, I should, it was kind of a mix. It was an apology, a condolence, and a thank you, And the apology was for causing all the mayhem, that because I've seen the aftermath. And there's ripples of this whole thing. And since I've listened to their streams, they're arguing amongst themselves. They're in turmoil. Arwen's left and won't come back until he gets 500 euros. And
yeah, I
and
don't
they're
think that
arguing
was
amongst.
all you, but I mean, like, you could take
No,
a
no,
percentage of that, right?
no.
Nathan's
I'm
troubles
certainly
and
not.
sleeping
Yeah,
problems,
no,
maybe. You never know.
Yeah, I'm not claiming the glory for that. Certainly not. No. I just thought, wow, it's maybe it was just in the middle of what was happening anyway. And so, I was kind of wanted to apologize for any, disruption I'd caused, and condolences for all the suffering they were going through, and the domestic situation they have and what's going on, and like for Arwen, and say, so that was my idea, was that, and to say thank you, because that thing we listened to today, at the time, he got my name wrong and he called me Elder Bear. As I said before, it was a much more fitting name, and afterwards I thought, I quite like that, because the Elder Bear it doesn't belong, in my mind, that I could use it, but it doesn't belong to this place. It's almost becomes tainted, the memory or the thoughts I have that's associated with that name. It kind of it taints it, and I was finding it difficult to adapt the person I am with that name to this other name, and so it felt like a baptism of fire going in there, but a baptism, and it gave me a name that is now, it is. It was good, so I took it on, Elder Bear. And it's difficult to kind of even get your head round and try and say the right name. I get that, it doesn't matter. Whatever comes out is fine.
Yeah,
so I
somebody's
wanted to go and
calling
say
you,
thank.
Elderberry.
Yeah, Elderberry. Well, I love elderberry. Yeah, elderflower. I love it.
That'll do
But
as well.
yeah, my old flower. So I wanted to say that was what I had in my mind. But they were talking about Arwen and the troubles they were having with Arwen, and he was kind of saying how he's trying. It was kind of a fake, kind of caring thing about him, about Arwen, from Nathan, and saying, that, people have people who really know each other well can go through these things, and we've been friends for 10 years, and I kind of understand him having a go at me and all that, and I sort of chirped up and said, yeah, but you called him your whipping boy the other day. Well, yes. Well, what's wrong with that? So, well, that's not very kind, really, is it? And in this community, I find a lot of that's going on. People being nasty to each other. And then they kind of question me about, well, you don't know anything about us. I said, no, I don't know the details of all that thing. But as humans, that's not good. Whatever the reason, that you be calling someone your whipping boy. And I mean, he does. Everybody can see it. Every time Arwen chips up, he'll blame something on Arwen or tell him to shut up, and put him down. And Arwen's, for whatever reason, wherever he is in his life, he's obviously upset about it. And so they were pretty triggered as soon as I spoke. And I wasn't expecting that. That was a bit silly of me, eh? I wasn't really expecting that kind of reaction they had. And I tried to I said, well, I just wanted to, I've gotten a sort of apology and condolences, and their reaction made me kept thinking, what was the other thing I'd got to say? Oh, yes, to say thank you. But And they said, "Oh, yeah, you've come to offer an apology." And Adam was, "We don't want your apology," type thing. And I said, "Well, I just wanted to say sorry, if I kind of caused a disruption, kind of felt like I'd thrown a grenade in the room, and I'd been sort of watching the aftermath of that, and forget what happened, but it kind of got lost a bit, and we're talking about Arwen again, and I said, well, oh yeah." They said, because I was talking about Arwen, and then Adam had said something about how much I was going to ask, how much you donated to Arwen, and Nathan said, yes, I was going to say the same thing. I said, well, I haven't got a lot of money myself. I said, but I have heard some people have sent money over, and maybe even 500 euros to you, Nathan, through you, and hopefully you'll send it on, to him. And what? You accusing me of some criminal activity? I said, no. I said, I'd heard that. Well, let's say it's hearsay or alleged.
Something about 500 euros,
Yeah.
right? Now, was it that I'd heard that somebody had sent Nathan Oakley 500 euros?
Well, I'd heard that. I'd also heard Arwen yesterday saying that's what he wanted. He wanted 500 euros, and just before I spoke on your stream today,
right. So Arwen. Right. So
Arwen
it might
had said
not
that.
be that
Yes.
Nathan got the 500 from somebody.
No, possibly not. But But I had heard, people were, things I'd heard just sitting in where I couldn't speak, hearing people talk about such stuff, here and there, and there was somebody on before me was talking and was saying that he'd spoken to Arwen this morning, and that Arwen was pretty upset. He wasn't coming back till he got his 500 euros, and he was talking. Nathan wanted to shut him down. He said, "Well, I don't want to talk to him through a mediator, trying to put this guy as a mediator. I'll talk to him directly." But he said, you're pretty mean to him. You've been mean to him, and so the subject was about that, and and then so he said, well, he said I was, wanted to send Arwen some money, and I spoke to him.
I have a question.
Go on.
Sorry, Air to Bear.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. For you.
Yeah, it's 1:33.
Yeah.
I have an issue with this $500 thing.
Yeah.
Don't
how much
come at
did
me.
You send?
Just hang on, Bev. I'm not trying to defend Nathan Oakley. I'm not trying to defend Arwen. What I want to say is this $500, the story I got was somebody gave Nathan $500 for Arwen. That sounds dumb. Why would somebody Why would somebody send Nathan Oakley $500 instead of just giving it straight to Arwen? If they can give it to Nathan, they can give it to Arwen.
Because if somebody that really wants Arwen on Nathan's show, is going to give Nathan €500, 500 euro to give to Arwen, because Arwen said that's what he wanted from Nathan to go back on his show.
He wants
it from Nathan, not from anybody else.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's why.
So
I had a misunderstanding. Thanks, guys, for the clarification.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thanks, Rob, because that helps me, because you've heard a similar kind of story, and that's what I said. Well, it's hearsay. I wasn't going to say who I'd heard or put any names to it. And I said, all right, okay, we'll say hearsay or allegedly, if you like. But that's what I'd heard, and that's what Arwen was calling for. He wants Nathan to give him the money.
That's why I thought.
Yeah. And then
that's why I thought Arwen was being held, or like Nathan was holding hostage some money for Arwen, and I thought that just sounds ridiculous.
That would explain Arwen's attitude a little bit more, wouldn't it? Like fill in the picture in, because if there's one thing you do know about these guys, right? You don't know the whole picture, right? There will be something that they're keeping behind, or misunderstanding, because they do that a lot, right? they misunderstand things. They get the wrong impression. So you're likely to do the same thing with everything that's going on, right? It's hard to tell what's going on, really.
That's why I didn't name anyone. I just said, I'd heard that, and you can go listen to Arwin, and he's got a picture of Nathan that you wouldn't have thought about or known about, and whether that's true or not, I don't.
It? Oh, that weird sort of stuff.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's just from the horse's mouth. You can go and listen to him, what he says. It's and I've that was the first time I'd ever gone and listened to Arwin the other day. Because I thought, what's going on? What are they getting upset about? I heard something on Nathan's. That was the thing. I'd heard something about some fallout with Arwin, and that had kicked off that day. And I thought,
sexual acts that Nathan was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Arwin.
Oh, maybe. So I just went, because I'm not attracted to Arwin as a content creator. I don't know what he's doing in there. He looks like Rapunzel, sat in the tower there pleading for somebody to bring her some food or something, because he's just asking. It's a funny sister. I mean, how would you do that? You have a stream where you just talk to people and say, send me $20 PayPal now or fuck off. Shit, that's good content. Yeah, or rambling stories about,
all sorts,
personal
right?
life.
Sorts.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, so I don't go there because
everybody on YouTube nowadays.
Yeah, I was just being nosy. It was no content for me over there. There's nothing that's going to help me to the truth, apart from a truth of a story maybe, or a version, and I happen to be slightly involved in it in my head. So I went there and listened to some tittle tattle, and I'll go to confessional this weekend and purge myself. I'll be fine. But so then I'd said that, and Nathan said, well, I don't have a lot of money myself. I'm broke. I can't pay my mortgage. After saying, I'll tell you about that. And he said, I spoke to my girlfriend last night, or my partner. Not sure what term he used, but and we spoke to her, and we got her credit card, and we sent him £10. £10,
So Arwin's got like at least 10 quid of that supported. It could have been
another 490.
It might have just been 10 quid, right? That story that you heard about 500 quid going to Nathan Oakley.
Might be a tenner. Well, he said he got his credit card. And so that'll cost him, £12.80 by the time he's got his fees and all that. But and before that, he'd been talking about, he was justifying his stream and the money, the income that he was looking for, because obviously there's been some questions about that. That people, well, I said it to him. You're just here for the money. It's just your lifestyle. This is what you've found to survive on, and however well that does whatever it does. I don't really care about that. It's just about exchanging it for what truth. So he'd been talking about that and comparing himself to Simon Dan and the size that Simon Dan is, and he would, that would be nice to, to reach that level of notoriety or income. Yes.
Oh, right. Big,
big
that's I can remember Tenth Man had that. Like he was saying that they were going to ride this wave of flat Earth, right? Because it's taking off.
Yeah. So there is a financial incentive. And he said, well, why not? Why shouldn't, why should the truth be free? And then he compared himself with people like Jaren has got a members thing. So you might watch some of his YouTube, and then within a few hours it's members only, and you've got to pay to see it if you haven't caught it.
Oh, Rockfin, is it? Something like that. They do
on YouTube, it's like that. I know they said that the problem with YouTube is it's censored, so they can't talk about some things. So they maybe do an hour on YouTube and then they go to Rockfin.
Yeah.
But Rockfin's a membership thing too. It's $15 a month or £15 a month, and you get all the content, which is some people can't afford $15 a month or £15 a month.
It's like another TV service, isn't it? You're still paying on for the people that have signed up for that particular thing.
So then you kind of narrowed, depending on what disposable income you've got as to how many people you can buy information off or truth off, if you like. You can only afford so much, to pay subscriptions to all these places to get content. So he was saying, my sort of truth is free, but why should it be free, and why shouldn't people contribute, and making an argument for monetizing his content. Fair enough, that's okay. That's what he wants to do. But so he's got grand plans. Yes, and that's what had happened before. That's what he said before that. And then he could only cough up £10 on his credit card, so he hasn't got his bank or a cash to send him. He had to get on a credit card, borrowed. That's borrowing money, isn't it? Your credit card.
I bet he's done it anonymously as well.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, but he got that in, and then he said that I was scummy behaviour, and that I'd accused him of some illegal activity of robbing Narwin or whatever. I never said that, and with that I was red mic'd and deafened. So my apology and everything didn't go very far, and I've already had some feedback about how I was supposedly sucking up to him this afternoon, trying to be friends. Somebody sent me a message. Yeah, I heard you this afternoon sucking up to Nathan. I thought, well, what did you hear? I didn't.
Well,
anyway,
it's like Arwin was saying the other day, right? Nathan's listening to those DMs. Do you know what I do? I have this method Emma's taught me. Don't do DMs. Save you a load of hassle, because people that send you stuff, I don't know, not really worth listening to, because they'll try and do what Nathan's done. They'll try and put that division in there.
Yeah.
And that stuff with Nathan and Arwin, right? Arwin's always been like that. Like Brian was saying, never been any different. Like, I don't know why Nathan is sort of saying, oh, something's going on with you, Arwin. He's like, no, he's been like that all the time.
Yeah.
As a character.
Yeah, then we
developed it. Nathan's just developed his character. So I can see why why Arwin's saying to Nathan, like, you're being a hypocrite. Like, we've both been like as we are, and it's been fine up until now. At least that's what they think. But I mean, I guess the times change, right?
Yeah. And then we came to, the premiere today and listened to the stream, and we got over some of it the other night with the bit you were in, and I thought, well, I've only got a short bit in here, and that's fine. It wasn't, I thought it'll come round sometime. I'd like to listen to the whole thing, because I'd listened to his stream, and I thought, what does it sound like having all of it, the whole uncut version? Wonder what that's like. So it happened today, and wow. I wish I'd have heard that before I went there today.
Yeah.
I might not have bothered, really, because I was quite proud of myself, really. That's and that's not to trip over my pride.
Yeah, no,
but,
I think there's quite a few people that have listened to that today and gone, like, this new guy. But I mean, he's just a guy.
It's just some two guys in a pub, and he's telling me some bullshit, and I'm saying, on your bike, mate. Talking about, I can see you puffing yourself up, don't threaten me. Come on, what are you doing, man? Just real life, So, and I thought, so my impression of what I imagined from a few days ago is very, very different now. I just feel like, gee, you did chuck a bomb in the room.
I think one of the biggest things you have to learn whenever you come into these arenas, right? That the people that you sit around and imagine are these intelligent people or whatever, you can normally find out that they're not. They're like, everybody is just a normal person. Doesn't matter what they claim to be or do for a profession or how much money they've got or whatever. Like, we're all just people trying to get on in life, and just give people a chance for a conversation, and you'll get a conversation.
Yeah, because it didn't have to be. Yeah, it didn't. It didn't need to have been anything like that at all, did it? not at all. It was, but that's his method. It's, you kind of mirror some of that, and when he read out that sustainable development thing, kept saying the horizon that you're standing on. Well, I heard what you said, but you're not, though, are you? It's just ridiculous. And so,
we have to point out, like a lot of people, I don't know whether they were listening to it, but if you do go back and listen to it, Nathan Oakley has got this definition, right, of what he calls
citation.
Well, it's a citation of an elevation angle. Right now, it's just a citation from a solar company, solar panel company. Like it's a sponsorship deal. Because for some reason, he has to say this place as the citation. But it seems like he can measure an elevation angle and establish a horizontal plane. And that proves flat Earth, apparently. Like he doesn't establish the horizontal plane to measure the elevation angle, because that would be establishing a horizontal plane first and then measuring the angle. No, Nathan Oakley seems to think because he's got a citation from this company that he's obviously sponsored by for saying that company name, that establishes the horizontal plane, which proves flat Earth in his mind, which is some of the most ridiculous reasoning I've ever heard.
But yeah. And so, but and I know that he's not, and I know that he couldn't have it. I just know he couldn't. I know that you don't have it. It's not horizontal. Nobody has it horizontal. You have to establish one with a tool to do that, and then you can measure from that. And it might be, it can be a physical thing, and the space in between, the theodolite and the marker stick is. It's not a physical thing, but you've established through the reference points that you've created. It's in space, if you like. It's not the land. You measure the land from that. So I knew he wasn't standing on it, and that's why. So I was asking him, "What tool are you using when you're doing that?" And it was ages and ages before he told me what tool, and then he said a sextant. And I thought, well, you're holding the sextant to your eye, so the horizontal that comes out of that might be at your mouth level. How that works is, it proposes a horizontal outwards from there. And so I think, well, you're not standing on that. You're on a wobbly boat. From what I've read about sextants, you've got to hold them so they're really perpendicular in your hands. The angle, how you hold them is quite important. To get anywhere near exact, or not even exact. You're not going to get anything exact. You're going to kind of get a thereabouts that'll do. We're sort of in that area. We're within that circle. That'll do. Yeah, we're not going to run across the rocks there. We're going to, map our way through this channel in this deep water piece. Go over there and we get 10 degrees to west, and then we'll, head into the harbour. Whatever you're going to do, whatever you need to do to follow that the marine charts or whatever you're using as a reference. So but he kept repeating that he was standing, the horizon that you're standing on. Well, you're not, though. And I remembered the story he told. I'd heard him talk before about, he'd gone out with his sister on a boat, and his sister had used it. So I knew he hadn't used it. And I asked him, and he said, no, I haven't used it. Like, shit, you haven't even done it, and now you're telling me, which is exactly the same thing he would challenge a Glober with. Well, you haven't even done it, So I just see you're empty-handed. And it just got more ridiculous. And so it was. I was very amused, I must say. And it would have been different had I listened to that. And before I went to chat to him today, well, I probably wouldn't. I might not have even bothered to go, but it would have been a different conversation I'd have had. I don't know what it would have been, but I hadn't realised that the impact of it. Not to I'm very capable of being aware of not wanting to shine my ego up, or go, hey, look at me. I don't need that. I don't want that for myself. I beat myself up for having that in my life generally. So it's not that, but I am quite excited. I'm kind of I'm quite happy about what happened and feel good about it. Yeah, there's no reason I shouldn't, I don't think. But yeah, I felt really, really good. And he said some stupid shit, man. And the last bit at the end where he said, I said, so if you're standing on the horizontal, then why do you need to establish one if you've already got one? And he was ranting. I said, but why do you need a theodolite then, or an auto level? If you've already got the horizontal, you just measure off of that, wouldn't you? You take your elevation off of that, measure off of that, And he just kept going round and round in circles trying to avoid that question, really. But it came down. It was just that. What's that? Reductio ad absurdum. Is that the term?
Yeah.
It was that. But you don't have a horizontal, do you? Well, if you've got one, why you want to establish one? You take your angle off of that horizontal if it exists. But where is it? Because I can't find it in my garden or anywhere I go. And as pedantic as that may seem, it means a lot to me about what might grow from there, what might evolve from those ideas and thoughts and experience that I create with that, or becomes part of me. Yeah, I might find a portal somewhere and slip away and be able to get 10 steps ahead of the Mormons or something.
See the thing, I put it in the chat though. Welcome to Sustainable by Design. In case you're inquisitive about it, it's Sustainable by Design is the consulting firm of Christopher Grombeck, Seattle, Washington, USA. Christopher provides solar engineering, green building consulting, graphic design, and website design and program servicing, primarily within the sustainable energy and architecture fields.
So it's not scientific.
Featured tools. Christopher's premier solar design tool is SunAngle, a shareware web-based program used around the world since 1995 to calculate solar angles based on location, date, and time.
That's just to how you mount your solar panels on the roof, which direction and what kind of it's a bit like pointing your satellite dish at something. You put a meter on it, you measure the signal, and when it's at the optimum point on your meter, you're focused to that point, wherever that's pointing at, wherever it is. And the same with the solar panel. You want the optimum amount of sun to cast itself on there for as long as possible to get the most out of them. So that's all it is, isn't it? Standing on a roof or on the ground and saying, right, we need 45 degrees of angle on those solar panels.
Yeah, they've got like the new February 2020, so obviously 4 years old now. February 2020 version of panel shading features a new graphic interface for optimizing the geometry and spacing of rows of horizontal solar collectors on a rooftop or the ground. And then it says it's got SunAngle Professional Suite, maybe this sponsored version. A more sophisticated version of SunAngle is also available for purchase. The SunAngle Professional Suite includes additional features for $40 and is distributed via email. That is Sustainable by Design, the citation Nathan Oakley uses for Flat Earth.
Yeah.
The Flat Earth proving citation from Sustainable by Design and Christopher Grombeck. Well done, Christopher.
40. Oh, Charles is on my case.
Well, Well, he'll have to get in touch with. Tell him to get in touch with Christopher Grombeck of
he's
Sustainable
it's only
by
$40.
Design.
Yeah,
Tell him you've heard about him from Nathan Oakley. Tell him you heard about him as he was going over his his beliefless conviction by stating a citation from his place about elevation angle.
Yeah, I don't know how exact that needs to be, really.
It's just an angle to the sun, isn't it? I mean, that's all it is.
You're on the roof. The sun's over there. That's south. The sun's going to come round there. I mean,
it's like, what position do you point it to get as much sun as it possibly can throughout the whole day? Like, what's that angle that it gets placed at to optimize the solar gathering potential of the solar panels?
But anyway, it does say supposedly that a horizontal you're standing on. So, but if you're on the roof, putting your panels on, I wish I'd have thought about that. What about if you're on the roof putting the panels on? Where's the horizontal then?
Vertical, like it's in the air. That's what you might be lying about somebody who you don't even know about.
Yeah,
you want to be careful what you say to Nathan Oakley. Like, I mean, if anybody's listening, Rakia, Essie, or whatever, I don't know what Nathan Oakley's got, but it seems like there's this thing at the minute within this community or whatever of division. Nathan Oakley's got a bit of it. I don't know why. It seems ridiculous. We know everybody's okay to do whatever they do, and anybody that comes round here, they'll know that the same, right? You come here for a chat. Nobody's signing you up for anything. There's no contracts or anything. You're free to come and go and talk to whoever you want. Nobody tells you what to say or what to do or where to go. You can still be your own person and just come over for a chat. It's dead easy. But for some reason, Nathan Oakley wants to try and... I don't know. I guess that's what Nathan Oakley's do. Flat Earth. I don't want to call him a flat earther now, right? Because it's just ridiculous. There are some people like, Godzilla and Rob Keane, Page, that consider themselves flat earthers, but how can I associate you guys with Nathan Oakley?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
I can't put you under the same banner as flat earther because that's just ridiculous. I can't do it.
No, because there's some voices there that, amongst him and in his panel that I'd equally think, are not trustworthy in my world either. And they're not up front, but, I wouldn't want to say all the people that listen to him or that, that follow him are in that bracket at all.
Yeah, it's like the flat earthers do with the globers, right? There's people who live on the globe, right? My dad.
Yeah.
He lives on the globe. But the globe to him is just a sort of mental thing. But I mean,
but you wouldn't stop taking him to the pub for a pint, though, would you? No. Or getting his shopping because he's like, a despicable human being or something.
Yeah, satanic or
it's
whatever.
Just what it is.
It's like he hasn't got a clue. And I'd say most of the people who live in reality haven't got a clue what Nathan Oakley's talking about when he starts doing his flat earth spiel and putting division into this false dichotomy. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it seems kind of bigger and more important when you're in it, because it's a bit all-consuming in some terms, or it can be, that, you kind of almost imagine everybody's thinking about it. But of course they're not. It's a very small amount of people. All right, it might be growing, but it's still a very small percentage of people, and most people never even consider it. And so I spoke to a physics teacher the other day, and he didn't know anything about the possibility of spherical geometry. and he taught physics to children that were up to 13, and I talked to him about straight lines and horizontals, and he said, well, he said maybe you should go and get a maths degree. He said because he just hadn't got a clue what I was talking about, really. Not because I wasn't explaining it well, but I was asking him about horizontals and parallels, and he agreed. They were perpendicular and parallel, and the horizontals were parallel. He agreed with me. I said, "Do you think that's possible?" He said, "Like that wouldn't be so." And he said, "No." I said, "Well, there are some mathematicians." I said, "I have heard of some mathematicians." I was actually referring to flat Earth math as one of them. I said, "People who've been around that tell me that you can't have a straight line anymore." He said, "Well, if you wanted to, do you want this dishwasher or not?" And I put it in the car and drove off. But, yeah. So you're right, and yeah, when I had parents' evening last night, I didn't get much of a chance, but they don't seem to know that either. There's one teacher teaching my daughter physics, chemistry, and biology, doing the whole three. Well, when I was at school, they were all separate teachers. They were separate classes, and there's one teacher, and they're in a room, a small room. There's some tables, benches, well, like work benches, with top-mounted electric sockets, a Bunsen burner on pretty much every station. And I said, "Well, do they do any experiments then? Are they doing, real experiments with equipment?" And he said, "Well, not really, not much." I said, "So it's all theory-based? It's all just paper and questions?" He said, "Yeah, pretty much." I said, "I remember sucking sodium hydroxide up a glass pipette, to neutralize acids, and if you suck too hard, you got a mouthful of something, and making distillation, doing distillation and having all these glass tubes that you connected together, and then you'd have to draw them exactly as they were, well, as exact as you could, and you describe your experiment, drawing all the things with all the mounts holding the distillation tube, in a mount, and then the tubes that went from there, and a picture of the Bunsen burner and the heat and the direction of gas and water and shading and all that went into that. The drawing of those things that put some tool inside your being, some understanding inside your being. And I said, how are they going to learn this stuff if there's nothing practical going on? Just answer these questions, try and hold this in your mind, revise, and when the examination comes up, you just hope you've remembered all the right facts, and there you go. I said to my daughter, just collect the bits of paper. Let's say you've got well, there used to be A and A star, now they're numbers, 1 to 9. With the 9 being the highest. I said, just get it. As long as you get a 6 and above, you're pretty all right. That's sort of a B and above. That'll open doors for you in the future if you want to. But all you're doing is keeping up the data for the school and the performance figures. It's not for you. I've got to change phones because the battery's going dead.
Been an interesting week. Anybody else got anything? I'm going to put all of the pressure on Elderbear, but and he done well. The new guy. Imagine that. I mean, he could be a counsellor or anything. Like, you'd never know. It's just another person. It's come here to talk. It could be you. You could be that person. That video we put out earlier. Of all of the people that have been around Nathan Oakley with him saying stupid shit, there's only Elderbear that I've heard. So, wait a minute, Nathan. Are you sure? Seems like you're talking a bit of shit there, Nathan. There's meant to be a bit of honesty going on round here. It is 2024. surely the people should have had a thick skin built rather than this fragile shell that they've put around themselves. Nathan said some stupid shit. Well, I think we all have. Especially Charles. Contradictory.
Yeah, I didn't mind chatting there for a bit because I had a story. And, yeah, thanks for the experience. Anyway, it's been a good one. Still looks like it's going to be a good one, really. I don't know where it's going to go.
You want to carry on?
Well,
that's
we'll
fine.
see.
I was just sort of filling the gap.
Yeah. No, I mean that brought us round to today and how the story went, and I don't quite know where it's going to go. Really, it depends how restricted it gets, really, or how many people want to shut you down, really, or what what
we've been doing this for this long.
Truth there is to be sought.
Yeah.
We're
only a little channel, and that's perhaps the best way, really, because know people do get upset at what we do. So just doing what we do.
Well, they're still allowing you to speak. You can go into these places.
I don't think so.
Not
for much longer, I don't think.
No.
But like we've been saying, once there's a false dichotomy, there's obviously got to be this the other, right? The one that knows of the false dichotomy. You've automatically, you may not know what the other options are, but at least you've got a separate group that knows of the false dichotomy.
Yeah.
That's got to go somewhere, right? I mean, that's got to, it's on a path of its own, and it has been for quite a while. We've been saying it.
Yeah, and again, it's really nothing that I expected to find. And the things that I found were nothing I expected to find, and nothing I thought that I even needed to find or to come across, really.
But it's more fascinating, isn't it, than what you probably were expecting to find? Because I'm still learning that. It's still fascinating to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Things that I'm looking at and thinking about, are very different things than I imagined I'd be looking at. That's for sure. Yeah, and I'm really thankful. I'm thankful for Nathan and all those people, that made me where I am, put me where I am, because they've all got a part in it. And it's all part of the story, all part of the twists and turns, and somebody just standing on the corner pointing somewhere, and you see them and you go, oh, okay. You turn left or turn right or go straight on or go up or down or wherever it is. And there is treasure in some little casket somewhere. A bit like a game, isn't it? A bit like when you find some power up or something in a house, in an upper bedroom, in a chest.
Yeah, well, I think you'd have to go to the Bard. I'm pretty sure Buster's sung that there is no end game here, right? It just is the journey that we're on. Like that's probably the important part, is the journey, not the destination, because you haven't got a clue where the destination is. So all you can do is enjoy the journey, and it's been enjoyable. It has. If anybody wants to come and experience it, I guess it's the only way to do it. Because in those times as well, while we've been going out for these conversations, I've made about, I don't know, a few videos this week for the members. It's fun going out and then reviewing that stuff, going over it, listening to the other things that are going on. Ballbusters, Nathan Oakley, Arwin. There's a bit of there's a bit of stuff, and things are moving. They're changing, as everything does. Like Nathan Oakley said, these 10-year cycles, and he's done his 10 years. Ranty did 5. He signed out after 5 years. I guess whenever you have these like 5-year contracts, and then you see what's going on for the next 5 years.
Well, it is the Great Reset.
Yeah.
After all. And have whatever form that is going to arrive in by whoever is implementing it, you never know.
Well, he was saying, wasn't he? He was saying that Charles has been here the longest. That
yeah.
So Charles has already signed his next 5-year contract, and he's halfway through that.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I think of myself, you put yourself in other people's shoes, and you think, what drives somebody to be doing that for 16 years? Sort of with the impression that they're a flat earther and haven't, I don't know how long, he's always had that name, but it seems a long time to have, be tied to that name, flat earth. I thought there would have been I don't know, different.
No,
there's something dishonest about it.
The flat earth ones, there's a few of them, and they're like the special. They're like the top hat, if you will, of the community. Because you've got Flat Earth Dogma. You must have seen him. He's been in the chat. He's talking to people.
He's this week. Yeah.
He's the same as Flat Earth Math. He's the same as Flat Earth Pilot, Flat Earth Data.
Because names are important.
Code. It's like a code, if you will, 33. And I've always said it's the same as Flat Earth Debate. There's no difference into what Charles does, Flat Earth Math, and what Flat Earth Debate does. Same thing.
Yeah, because I think, well, how could I do that for 16 years? What would power me to do that? What is it? And like the name, it's not kind of a personal name. It's not like I'm bringing truth to people, or I don't know about doesn't focus people on maths in a sense. It's pretty niche, flat earth math. I mean, it's not
if you're going to be like completely contradictory, then it's perfect. Because it's a nonsense.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, if somebody arrived and they said, it was connected to their religious belief, and they said, this is me witnessing for my God, and I have, I feel I have to do this to be a good person, or whatever that was, you could kind of give them a pass in a sense, think, okay, that's what drives that person to do that, or they were working for a company and they were promoting that, or there was something that substantiated what they were, and so some of these people, they seem to be alone. They act like they're alone, but the name doesn't say that to me. It was the thing I was thinking about with Nathan is because it's a sales thing, and you want people to think they're buying something and not being sold something, and that's the salesman. You've got to be, I want this, not he's trying to get me to have this. And that that sales thing is going on in all sorts of avenues. It's not all to do with purchasing things. Somebody trying to convince you of something that you didn't necessarily want, that you take on because you were sold it, and then you got this thing and it sits dusty in the cupboard for a long time. I think, oh bloody hell, that's another $40 wasted on sustainable development, side angle, software or whatever it might be. Yeah, you need to feel like, you know, you're buying something, you're not being sold it. And then people feel more comfortable with it. So I'm always wary of the salesman appear trying to push something on me. You know, do I really need it? They convince me that I need it. No, I don't really need it. That's ridiculous. I don't. I'm fine. You know, it's just Chinese plastic stuff or something. So yeah, what motivates people is interesting. You know, to do what they do, what drives them, what interests them. You know, and for myself too. You know, I ask myself those questions too. What the hell are you doing? Why are you looking at that for? Why are you interested in that? Sometimes I know it's like an addiction. You know, and it's something that could be just like sugar, cake, honey in my tea or something, you know, things you think, well, it's not necessarily that good for me. I need to break that. I need to break that addiction of things. So it's a constant thing for all people, really, I guess, you know, trying to be more healthy or look better or not age so quickly or just to be better people for themselves.
I think you might be intimidating to
well, never mind.
Go on. Let's get it in there. Yeah, it takes all sorts. Everybody knows what the chat's like round here and people that we have. I mean, this arena may be a little bit toxic. There's a lot of... I've noticed there's a lot of infighting, a lot of cliquey little crowds. I hope we're not bitchy and all of that. I don't think many people get people moaning at people being, you know, unfairly muted or anything. But I did notice that Nathan Oakley was saying that, you know, they were having this... I keep forgetting, what's it called that? Whether they were having this intervention where they, you know, they were deciding what they were doing for this next years or whatever, and they were going forward and the mods were going to stop doing... Well, they haven't, because I think most of us have been banned already because of the mods getting all upset, triggered. Like Nathan Oakley had this thing the other day with a guy. Who was it? Something detective. It was, and he was going over some Maddie McCann case, and I just shortened the guy's name to DD. You know, to say, well done, DD, going after the truth. You know, like, keep exposing these liars. And I got hidden. I got hidden because there was one of the moderators, he's called Divergent Droid or something. And, like, so his initials are DD. And he literally got triggered because I typed DD. I didn't even know, like, there was a mod there. So, yeah, I mean, they are a little bit ridiculous. And this sort of internalized thing that they've got going, intervention of the new attitude that Nathan Oakley's going to be going forward with. I'm not too sure. I think they've developed a way of their own, and I don't think it can be changed. I think they've spent years developing it. They've developed arguments. I mean, stuff's been going round and round and round with Nathan and his housekeeping and all of that sort of stuff. Well, the house cleaning, that's going to go for another 10 years. It's not going to change as far as I can see. And I did say I wasn't going to go back on Nathan's, but I couldn't resist it the other day when they said they'd turned over a new leaf and they were going to go forward with this thing. I had to go and check, and yeah, I think I got all of the questions answered that we need. He's just lying to people. He's literally, if you want to know what misinformation looks like, it's Nathan Oakley telling people just to go out and tell everybody it's measured flat when it's obviously not measured flat or measured not flat. So yeah, get ready for flat earthers to get shut down because they're misinformation. Nathan Oakley's literally telling people a lie and then getting really upset when people say, but it's measured not flat, Nathan. Demented droid, is that his name? Makes sense. Still got the
hello
Nathan Oakley's computer thing. Oh, is that?
Divergent, I think.
Yes, hello. I didn't want to
Demented.
interrupt your conversation because it's nice, hearing you guys, just talking. I don't want to interrupt.
Well, welcome.
But hello.
Welcome to 2024, Charles.
Yes.
Oh, no. How about Charles just doesn't interrupt then? He doesn't want to interrupt. Merry Christmas.
Yes, hello.
Oh, who's that? Was that somebody in the background, that?
I am a genius. I am a genius. I have it.
Yeah, what did you do? You did well there.
Is he gone?
I think so.
It's not a woman.
I don't think, I think it's because a woman said something to him. Maybe.
You just lose your connection, Charles. Is that what happened? Where did you go? Don't let us think it was because you spoke to a woman, please.
No,
he said, I don't want to interrupt. And I said, well, don't interrupt then.
That's what Emma does to him. You must have said, like, QE's not round here. Sleeping Warrior's not round here. I don't know whether... Did you do it to Nathan or...
Nathan called me a drunk. That was the only way he could get one over on me. Yeah, sorry if anyone wanted to hear Charles talking.
We got to say Happy New Year, didn't we? I know you don't like that. You get offended at that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, clearly not welcome today. Is you? Was you, Emma? Charles.
Come on, Charles, please. What was unwelcoming? Happy New Year. Happy Christmas.
Mike saying thank you, Emma. Yeah, I think it might be. It might be. Wow, that was yeah. Yeah, interesting chat. I don't know whether anybody noticed the thumbnail. That's a shout out to Chaiki and his measuring the earth not flat with his horizontal lines that he drew on the picture. with the mountains in the background. I've heard he's going through a bit of time, but I mean, he would love that. Telling Nathan Oakley that the Earth isn't measured flat. So that one today. I sent it to Blue Marble to let him know about Chaiki, to see, whether, just to let Chaiki know.
Oh, do you want me to play Femboy's part?
Go on then, yeah, go on. It's like, yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to be that annoying.
I know.
or condescending.
You'd have to think of your video that you've just done or something, like, I think.
Giggling like a fool in the background, thinking that I'm really clever. I don't think I can actually do an impression of that.
Do you reckon it was you? I think it was, I think it was entirely on your
It was definitely
scathing
me.
comments.
It was, yeah. Absolutely. I take full responsibility for that. At least I know it works.
Yeah. And also, like, as well, you don't really know what's going on in the background, personal circumstances and stuff.
I suppose we could talk about mormonic things. I think I've just made up a new word, mormonic.
Oh, mormonic. Moronic, but moronic.
Mormonic, yes.
Could you have more monadic? Possibly.
That was interesting because I was kind of interested in whether there were any. And that's not to be bigoted or anything, Charles. If you're listening, I was interested in whether you have a particular cosmology in your faith system that it's kind of interested in some of those things, a bit like that.
No offense, but if he'd have started talking about that, I would have been asleep within about 5 minutes. So, I mean, I'm all for an early night, not a problem.
Yeah, it kind of goes to that question I was wondering about, what drives people to do things, If you've got a model and you model afflicted, quote unquote, then, those things inform your world. They're what drive you to have your beliefs or make you make statements about or whatever. Some people are much more firmly embedded in that, more than subconscious. But obviously Charles he's calling himself flat earth math, and he's pretty invested in a niche corner of the universe, the internet, that the focus is on that. Say, I don't know how many people. So generally, when what I've witnessed is that when people are out, particularly bears out there on listening, I don't hear these things going on. I don't hear much maths. I don't hear much geometry, pretty basic geometry. Actually, Bev talks about some geometry, then usually hanging garlic from their neck and holding up crosses or something. It's not well.
You've gone very, very quiet and far away.
Okay.
I was going to say that. Was he getting further and further away?
I was getting near the kettle. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know what you heard, but what invests people in certain things, in this particular question, really. So I could understand if somebody had a particular cosmology that they were invested in, spiritually. That would, give me an understanding about somebody, whether I believed it or not, whether it made sense to me or not. It would help me make sense of somebody's motive or what drives them to talk about certain things. Because 16 years, say for Charles, he was here. It's not picking on Charles, but 16 years to invest your life into this small corner of the universe of the flat Earth seems, I don't know, seems.
Oh, I can play Charles.
No.
Figured out a way. When I was in high school chemistry, glass bending and drawing was part of the curriculum. We even made the ridge so the rubber part doesn't fall off.
Yes, made it glass, right?
Glass bending.
Yeah, well, that must have been moving too far away. Yeah, I mean, I never did that. I never made any. Did I bend any glass?
No, we did. I did ceramics, but not glass.
Not in chemistry. I don't remember doing that. We had all sorts of equipment. Loved it. I loved the equipment. I didn't like the teacher. He was called Cabbage. He came from up north, and then you sit at the back of the class, coughing, going Cabbage. He must have heard it 1,000 times. We thought it was amusing. Yes, sir. And he used to confiscate my sweets on a Thursday. It was Thursday afternoon. I used to go to the tuck shop, and you could, with my bit of pocket money, and buy some cola cubes or something, and I'd have them, and he'd know to call me out. He'd take them off me and put them in his drawer until the end of the lesson. He wasn't a bad guy. But, yeah, some really interesting equipment there. That glass. I say I go to my daughter's school. There's nothing, no carpentry, no workshops, just paper and stickers on and stuff on the walls with little slogans and almost meaningless things, pictures with some description on them.
No metalwork, plastics.
No. Yeah. Well, there is some DT, I think.
Yeah.
She's doing well in computer technology, computer technology, they call it. The teacher was good. He said, it was glowing because he said, that my daughter was doing really well, and if she was his child, he'd be really proud of her, which was a really nice comment. As a father, he said, I'd be proud of where you were if you were my child. So that was a nice thing to hear. But yes, I didn't see any tools around, and certainly not within what the subject she's taking. But yeah, we had full-on carpentry and metalworking shops, workshops. I'm sure not every school had them, but there were, I think people who were doing carpentry were making things, real things. But I don't see a carpentry course. I don't see a carpentry workshop anywhere. Just paper. Still listening and answer these questions, revise. The history was, let's say, Hitler, Weimar. I asked them why they were concentrating on there. They said, well, it's kind of close in history, and it's they find it interesting. Children find it interesting. And I said, well, there's no kind of linear history, so you can kind of understand where you came from, if you believe any of that stuff, of course. But anyway, there's no kind of linear sense of coming from here, and this person, this king, and this queen, and they took this over, and all that kind of stuff. So he said, well, no, not really. I said, what are you doing next? Henry VIII and the Cold War. I think that's all the history. My daughter will be taking Weimar Republic, Cold War, and Henry VIII. I don't know what position that puts her in history. And maybe it's just as well, really. So yeah, bending of glass tubes. I don't think they could do it because my other daughter, she made just before Christmas, they made a carousel out of paper, a little roundabout, and it has a motor, and a battery. That was some technology there, made this thing. And then and she brought home the roof, and she coloured it in, and off she went. And then one day she came back just before Christmas, and she got in the car and picked up and said, "Oh, how'd you get on today?" "Oh, fine. You've got to hold this." I said, "What's this?" It was a little packet. I said, "What's in there?" She says, "A battery." It was a little AA battery. And I said, "What's that for?" She said, "Oh, it's to do with my carousel." I said, "Why have you only got the battery?" And she said, "Well, we're not allowed to bring a complete circuit home." So she had to bring the battery one day and the carousel the next day. I said, "Is that because they're frightened you're going to sell rides on it outside school, and they're going to worry about insurance or something? Kids falling off it or something. What was it?" And she was laughing. But yeah, health and safety. They couldn't bring the complete thing home. They had to bring the battery one day and the rest the next day.
You can't put a battery in one pocket and sort of carry the thing in the other.
So, they'll never be, heating up glass and bending glass tubes, making a ridge in it so that the it'll push into the bung and won't come out, or the hose or the pipe, whatever you're going to connect to it. Put a cork in the end. Such is modern education. I mean, they never even got to spherical geometry. Mention the glass tube, Merry Christmas, and that's it.
Yeah, perhaps better if Charles doesn't, because we do want to talk about that cosmology stuff, and you probably saved him, Emma. Logos. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those touchy subjects. Some people are like that, aren't they? Don't like talking about their faith. Well, we did hear from Danger as well earlier. I hope he's doing all right. With his son. Be right into it at the minute, won't he?
Yeah, my brother's going through the same thing at the moment. And 0 sleep. They're doing like shift sleep work between the two of them. It's quite amusing.
Supercomputer. Brenda's talking
Totally
to
worth
me
it,
on
though.
Twitter. Brenda says I'm scared to debate him on I'm guessing on Jeranism, debatism.
Yeah, Brenda was acting like Jaren's PA.
Yeah.
For that weirdly titled debatism show, which to me sounds like a disease or something. But yeah, Brenda is supposedly like one of the people who decide who's going to go on and actually debate on Jaren's show.
Yeah, it's like a go-between, a liaison officer or whatever for that debate thing.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the person you want representing your show, fair enough.
Well, if he's gonna go and like get all pally with the criminals, with the criminal element of, I mean, again, Nathan Oakley's talking about cleaning his act up and all of that. Well, that whole idea of everything is summed up in characters like Nathan Oakley, Arwen, Fight the Flat Earth, Red's Rhetoric. All of those characters. Sean Hawkins, can't forget about Sean Hawkins. Blue Marble Science, for that sort of matter. They've all built up their characters over this time. You can't really expect them to change. Drop of a hat. Brenda's been doing the same. I mean, can you imagine Brenda changing and going and being all nicey with Jaren, going for coffee with people and doing all that sort of stuff? Wait a minute, they have changed, haven't they? Wonder whether Nathan's got the same memo. Clean up your act.
Clean up his act. Thing is, he said that one day, and I don't think even 24 hours passed before he was acting
about
like
half an hour.
Oh, it wasn't even that long. It was in the same show, I suppose.
Yeah. When he
Wow.
started talking to me, that was all it took. And I think, actually, going over it, listen to it, Elder Bear did most of the work, right? He didn't so much get frustrated at me. It was more, Elder Bear and
Yeah,
Nathan
but
Oakley
just
got
do you remember
frustrated
when
at some new person coming into the arena? I mean, what's up with him?
I don't know, but the difference is like when I tried talking to Nathan like that, I got muted within 5 minutes?
Shut up, bitch.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was, because I heard it and I think, I got hold of it. Geez, what?
Yeah,
Well, I was
that's
surprised.
not the way you talk to women, is it, Nathan?
Well,
I don't think he just reserves that for women. I think that's just anybody.
Yeah, he's an equal opportunities.
He's one of those, yes. I'm not going to say the rest because it's a bit rude to say on you.
Yeah, I was surprised to have got away with it. I really was. And listening back, I thought, geez, that was a long thing. How come he hasn't? Because he did mute. He got somebody to mute me, but then unmuted me, same as he did you.
Yeah.
Well, I was really surprised listening back that, like you said, I didn't realize it went on so long. And I thought, wow, why did he keep me on there? Well, I did say to him, if you'd have won, you'd have got rid of me a lot quicker.
Yeah, don't forget,
you had to keep on.
That when he puts that video out, which I don't think he will, because if when he's talking it cuts out what you and I were saying, then it'll just be him going on a rant. And I think you don't because your voice was so prominent in Discord, his gate thing didn't work, and you were possibly overriding him in most of that. Because the way he's got it right, he's got his thing working. He's got imagine he's got Skype, he's got a G+ thing where he's got say Arwin and Brian's Logic, and so there's about 4 or 5 of them in this other thing, and then he has the sound from that room pumped through to Discord. So that's where the connection between him and his video stream that goes out to YouTube is. But we were all sat in Discord like we are now. He's not like that. So, his feed is separate to this Discord feed. And, we have some pretty good sound in Discord, I think.
Yeah, I could only think that, he was chasing the win. And that's why he kept engaging with me, really. I don't think he'd found the win for himself. So he was chasing something. Otherwise, why engage with him? Why not just mute me and leave it to the side? Like he did today when I went, And having listened to what we listened to and listened to myself back again, I kind of thought, oh, okay. I realized he didn't want to get into that again or anything similar, because it's disrupted them and they're having to pick over it and having to look deep at themselves. So I don't know, not very deep, but mostly Arwin. But to analyze what's going on, and a few voices have stood up and said, well, you are a bit toxic and didn't really like that, and Brian didn't really agree with going forward with the mantra of the earth is measured flat, and it's brought out some cracks in the paintwork over there. So that was what my condolences are about. Sorry that if I had anything to do with causing any of that, but not in a egotistical, big-headed way, because I don't know what effect it had. But I was surprised that he kept me around for so long, and there was so much opportunity to call him an idiot or whatever, and he had to live with it. It's quite funny.
Yeah, I'd say as well, if Brian's listening, I don't know if you are, Brian's Logic, if anybody talks to Brian's Logic or whatever, come round and have a chat, please, because we've had complaints because of some of the things that you seem to be saying, Brian. It seems like you get mixed up and you start defending Nathan, saying ridiculous shit. But by saying I didn't say that doesn't stop, Nathan from saying the stupid shit that he said. Don't try and defend it.
It would certainly be good to hear him talking about, having a discussion about the celestial navigation he's talking about, unhindered, where he's got nobody shutting him down and talking over him or saying, no, we don't want to hear that bit, that doesn't fit with our script or whatever. He could come and talk freely about that and try and get a clearer understanding of what is in people's minds. Let's see if it gets any clearer or more truthful, or you agree to disagree or whatever it is, but it would certainly be nice to be able to do that without any real pressure about it.
Yeah, to get it sorted so we know.
Because they clearly know what he's picturing and how he sees that and how that meshes with, how you might feel about it or anybody else, might feel about it and their understanding paper or, the logic, the mathematics. How does that fit? How does that work then?
Yeah, I'd say, like Mike says there, Brian told him it was a bad idea saying it's measured flat. Yeah, I've heard him say the same sort of thing, but Nathan Oakley still seems to be asking Brian to support his case for saying that it is measured flat. And that's obviously putting Brian in a bad position. Like, Brian's going to have to come up with a strategy to just say to Nathan, look, it's just not measured flat. It's a stupid thing to say. Nobody can defend him.
No, that was the stupid thing that they said, we just went over there to trigger Nathan, to get some sound bites, to make some videos making him look ridiculous. But as I said, I heard you say this. I'm not making this up. I heard you say this amongst yourselves. I heard Brian saying he's not happy with it. I heard other people saying they hadn't got the presentation. I didn't make it up. They could have said, well, no, actually what we meant was, and and then I go, okay, I misunderstood. But that isn't what happened. I didn't go, I went over with that in my mind thinking, well, they're saying you got to say this, but I've heard them say they don't know what it is, or they're not sure about it, or they're not happy with doing that. So, it wasn't something I was going to stir up and create division. They've already divided. I was just wondering about, well, what do you do with that then? Because, if you were a true flat earther going forward with the message, if that was me, I'd want to feel sure about it. I wouldn't want to just have a half a story. I couldn't carry that, forward. And, because if I'm selling that double glazing to this old, pensioner, I wouldn't want to feel like I'm ripping them off, and that there's something I'm not telling them, or it's not going to last as long, or the guarantee isn't 10 years really, because you've got to keep paying into this insurance policy in order to keep it. Like they tried to sell you this kind of aftercare package that costs more than the bloody washing machine costs in the first place over, 5 years or something, or your telephone insurance that they never want to pay out on if anything happens to it, all that stuff. I wouldn't. That was how I saw it. It's a product that I didn't believe in, that I couldn't go out and sell, but he's asking people to sell it. And not that I want to sell that. I'm not in that camp of wanting to sell that, but there are a lot of people trying to sell it to me on that basis out there. That's the thing. And if I question them
or anything, it's like what?
Yeah.
What
so that is filtering through the other rooms.
Going to get there, right? But then I'm thinking he's asking people to go out there but that's got to be so he can get some content back. Well, surely isn't saying something ridiculous like he is doing the idea to get people to come in and say, why are you saying the ridiculous thing? Like we went over there, like, isn't that the idea? Yeah. Seems like it should be to me, because what else is he going to get? Nobody's going to go, oh yeah, I learned that the earth was measured flat from Nathan Oakley. It's like, why? How did he? Well, he just told me to say it. That's not going to work, is it? That's not going to work to anybody. No. You'd have to be ridiculous and stupid to think that would work.
Yeah.
And then to get upset at people coming around to say, well, what do you mean, Nathan?
Did we discuss Arwen at all?
Did we?
Oh, yeah.
No, not in any,
Did I miss that bit?
Not really in any meaningful terms. No, I just I just talked about how I felt about my experience and what had gone on. There's a little bit of Arwen in it, but I did go and listen to him yesterday, I think, because I was being nosy and wanted to know what his. Yeah, not really being nosy. I mean, there was a story I'd heard on Nathan's thing and some disruption, and I thought, is Arwen talking about it? What's his side of the story? How does he feel? And so I went to listen to a bit of that, and he seemed pretty upset with Nathan. And I don't personally know the grounds of that, but he's obviously upset with
everything I've seen over the years leads me to believe that excuse me, my voice is really playing up tonight, that Arwen is what I would class as someone that needs looking out for.
Yeah.
I don't want to label here, I don't want to say anything that might be taken the wrong way, but to me, he's not someone I would use on my panel as like someone to beat just for fun when I need to make myself look good. I think if anything, what Nathan just did has made him look absolutely ridiculous and vile, frankly. And I think anyone standing by him after this, I mean, I don't understand it. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do, but really, if you think that's acceptable behavior, there is no helping some people, obviously, but Arwen, I really feel for him because he's been on the panel for years and years, and all of this time, and the one thing they could have done is make it private. They could have discussed all of this behind the scenes and really thought of Arwen's well-being. They didn't.
Well, they did, didn't they? They said, they told everybody they did. The big, like Neil was saying.
Well, it doesn't matter what they did behind.
It appears like Arwen wasn't
maybe
there.
They did. Well, maybe they did, but that's not the point. The point is, this was all like a very public. Let's make Arwen, the subject. It was just horrific. The things he was saying. It was disgusting.
He didn't know what was coming. That was like a surprise thing that Nathan wanted to put upon Arwen, and that was disgusting.
Well, they'd obviously discussed it in the pre-show today, and they said, and that's what triggered me to speak today, because they were talking about, that they had discussed it in the pre-show, it's still, you know, unsettling things going on, and it's part of the conversation, and they were, yeah, kind of a faux kind of concern for Arwin, and then a guy came on and said he'd spoken to Arwin today, as I said earlier, and that Arwin wanted €500 or he wasn't coming back on the panel, and that this guy said that, you know, he agreed with Arwin the way he'd been treated, and that Nathan had been pretty mean to him. And he is. I mean, you don't have to it's not like behind the scenes, is it? It's public. It's most days.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. And I said, well, you know, you described him as your whipping boy the other day. And he kind of tried to pass it off as some kind of banter, you know, but it's not that. It isn't that. You can see it, you know. And then they said, well, you don't, you know, well, what do you know about what goes on? We've been friends for years, and, you know, what do you know about? I said, well, I don't know about, you know, what's gone on, but as humans, it doesn't look to me like a good thing, you know, to be treated. Because I think, you know, when I say I watch Darwin, it's a bit odd. I see there's something quite good about him, you know. I think there's potentially, you know, just he could be quite a for whatever his issues are, you know, just a nice little gentle guy, you know. I kind of feel there's some part of that about him. It may well be off, I don't know, but you know, there is something likable about him. But he seems very troubled, and I don't think that way of treating him is well, it's not good for him at all.
See, I have to say I disagree slightly. I think Arwen knows exactly what he's doing. Like, he has to hold some responsibility for his behavior. Right? I don't watch any of his stuff. I can't bear to listen to it at all. I just think, like, how do people watch it? He's sitting there eating and drinking and shouting at people in the chat. Not my kind of thing. Yeah, but he has to take some responsibility for his behavior. But at the end of the day, he also he's that kind of person that I just feel isn't quite as strong as everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
And he, rather than being used as something, he should be kind of helped quietly in the background, you know. Maybe that's too much, you know, leniency for him, but
yeah, maybe it's the vulnerability part that, you know, I'm empathetic to somewhere, and I've only watched, you know, him once, maybe twice. I watched him the other day a bit, and that was the longest I'd ever watched him. I think I dropped in another time, and I just thought, this is just nonsense. He's just shouting at people in the chat and asking for money, and that didn't make any sense, so I moved on. But, you know, I only know him recently, very recently, you know. It's so, you know, other people know him longer and know what's gone on for you know, a length of time.
He's built up a character. He's, you know, Arwen is Arwen. Like, you know what Arwen is, because as soon as you say Arwen, that's Arwen.
Yeah,
that's a character. People watch him for what they watch him for, and his character's been developed because of the people that are watching him, because of the things that they do to interact with him, just like Nathan Oakley does. There's nothing different. But yeah, like, you know, like Emma said, there's some people, you know, within this community that get used. Well, that's what Nathan does. Like, Nathan uses everyone. You know, I don't know if anybody's noticed, right? But over the last 10 years, Nathan Oakley has had people go to him with stuff, and he's done nothing. Not a thing. He's relied on other people bringing him stuff. And then, as you see how Nathan Oakley acts with people, he acts like he does. That's the Nathan Oakley character.
Yep.
Nobody takes him anything because he's the character that he is. So now he's had to develop this new thing, and these characters just keep interacting with each other to where we are today, 2024. This branch of flat Earth has seen its time. It's ridiculous. It's a nonsense, and it's going to go away. But people like Flat Earth Math, Charles, what's he going to do? Like, nobody cares. They're on their own, trying to generate something about their model, but it's fantasy. It's all fantasy. And running after people talking about your fantasy just makes you look mad. But is that 2024? Is that what we're doing? Are we all going mad? People, we've been saying it for a bit, haven't we? There's going to be more confusion being lumped upon people than they can take. They've lost the ability to comprehend, reason anything for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, and humans can be pushed to some extremes, real extremes. This is nothing really. But there are places people are being pushed to incredible extremes through teams, through groups of things. And, I've seen some horrific things. And people have, had to cheer them on, if you like, or support it because they were on their side. Things that you have to invest in and believe in because it's your side and accept as human behavior. The monsters that come out of people in certain situations.
Yeah, Nathan Oakley's walking around telling flat earthers to say it's measured flat. I mean, that's not far off that, is it? Like, are they going to have flat earth brown coats walking around?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. That's where we're at. Nathan Oakley's trying to govern.
For a second.
What was that? Go on. Is that Rob? I think check your connection.
There's my microphone.
Oh, that didn't sound too good. Is that just me or?
Okay, never mind. Oh no, I'll try when I got my other headset going. Sorry.
It's a bit, I don't know, bassy.
If anyone's playing Ark, can they please put their screen on?
I've not played it for 2 days yet.
Is Rob under a car, perhaps?
No, he says he has mic problems. He must have gone through the most mics. Aside for that, or he just
Yeah, it's a bit of a thing that occupies your life. All of a sudden, I've got several microphones, and I just got different ones that plug in with different connectors, and then the battery's running down and running around.
Always sounds perfect, so I don't believe you're trying hard enough, guys.
Yeah, just off a phone with one earphone in. She says,
I have given everybody the secrets to my success.
But those iPhone earphones are uncomfortable.
Well, sorry, no pain, no gain.
Hello.
And that's unfortunately.
Yeah. And the battery on the iPhone.
Quality mic sound from a shitty headset.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Go on.
Yeah.
Is it better?
Yes.
Yeah, a bit echoey, but fine.
Yeah, no, I am the worst for headphones. I get these little Bluetooth earbuds and I lose them all the time. And then sometimes the cord rips off of the wired ones and I resolder them back together. So I got electrical issues. That's why I'm an electrician. But anyways, I was just gonna say when all these weirdos want to say the Earth is measured flat, they say it's measured flat. Well, what are you exactly measuring flat? Not the Earth, because it has elevation changes. So your tool creates a flat, right? He wants to call the tool Earth.
I know.
Yeah.
Freaking weird.
It is,
That's
isn't
why
it?
I was on all the time.
They also want to call water Earth because they look out at the sea horizon, the sea level horizon, and they say Earth.
Yeah, it's like everything but the Earth. Like
Weird.
Buster says, like flat Earth is Earth minus Earth, right? You actually get rid of everything that is the Earth to leave the flat. It's crazy.
Yeah, they say flat Earth minus Earth equals flat Earth. It's bananas.
It's a nonsense, and I think that's what you've got to get used to is that nonsense that Nathan Oakley makes people say. That's what people consider flat Earth is. That nonsense. So, like, at the moment you get the nonsense, you don't need to look anymore. And if you've set up a false dichotomy, then the choices are nonsense or globe. You can't even comprehend the nonsense, so you may as well just take on the globe. And I think that's half of the little magic trick that's performed with the false dichotomy. A false dichotomy's been set up because within this debate that everybody's been talking about, that's all it's ever been. False dichotomy, flat or globe. Over years, Charles will be one of the people that's set that up, along with people like Nathan Oakley and this, over like years. They've developed the arguments, they've developed everything. The stories, about how the stories are told, about how you give people these models and things. All of it generated by the people that are in it. And I know that because I've not been in it for that long, but we've literally watched the argument change. New arguments been brought in. We've made the arguments. And we've made the arguments now to a point where the false dichotomy is obviously exposed, which means there's got to be a new way. There's a new option been formed. The people that know it's a false dichotomy. And then that just helps.
Yeah. Wait. Nathan calls those people Bev Earthers.
Hey, with the ones with the proofs, with the ones with the arguments.
Agreed.
I mean, he only does that because he thinks, adding Earther onto something makes some sort of difference. Well, it doesn't. We all just live in reality, all of us. Doesn't matter what you think.
If reality makes me a Bev Earther, I might have to become a Bev Earther.
Well, I'd say let's not go with the Earther part. Let's try and keep it like people living in reality. I think we should just point out that logic and the it's got to be something to do with the ability to take on contradictions. It's like, just can you see a contradiction? And like, what sort of course of action would you see if you could see that contradiction? It should be pretty easy to sort of come to some sort of a solution if you can see a contradiction, and then wanting to keep it on this Earther thing, because I mean, aren't we all Earthers? Like, who if we had to group everybody in this thing as a whole, who would be an Earther and who would not be an Earther?
I'm not going to be an earther because I've got enough labels being a human female. That's good enough for me. I don't know
I'm
why
not either.
anybody
I'm
needs to add an earther in there.
yeah, I'm not either. I'm cooking dinner right now.
Hang on. But if you live on a boat, you can't be an earther. But if you live on dirt, like your house is built on a foundation of dirt, you're probably an earther. But if you live on a boat on the water, I don't think you could be called an earther.
Right, there's a lot of
Just
people
saying.
that, can I put this into the mix, right? It may sound really weird, but you guys have heard of a globe, right? It's just a concept. It's a thing that you imagine that you live on, right?
No. A snow globe. I've seen them. They're not always spheres.
Yeah. There are all sorts of different shapes, right? The different things and
Right.
for different purposes. Like, so you
Yeah,
don't
that
have
was
to
when
put
I
a
started
shape
to.
to it. Or
Well,
you
that was when I
could
started
put a
talking.
reality shape to it as well. And have it as the real globe. Just reality. I mean, I don't care. But I do know that my dad, right, considers himself to live in reality. He also considers that reality to be a globe. Now, he doesn't know. He knows that horizontals are parallel and level is horizontal, but that occurs on his globe. He can have both of them because it's a reality thing. It's sort of something he relates to reality. I think everybody does that. Anybody that hasn't actually looked into this, and even some people that have even looked into this for years, have never actually really taken on the contradictions that you've already got on. You can't see them because you're already holding them. The model's been given to you since birth. You can't get rid of it. We're all just living in reality. And the way that, some people's minds have been wrecked. And mainly wrecked even more for being in this conversation over, well, I don't know how many years. I'd say we've been in it, I don't know. Like, we've been in it, but I think most of us here are fascinated with what's going on. Like, Ed Bear's new to it. He's fascinated by it. A lot of people have been in this for quite a while. I'm fascinated for it quite a while, but it gets old. You do the same thing. It goes in like a cycle, cyclic. And you'll see the same old arguments coming round and round again. We like to make new arguments and try and spice it up a bit. But these arguments that we're bringing are from reality, and it's a different game. It's too real for some people. And these models get in the way. Stop you from talking about reality. Some people, I don't think some people want to, and some people have developed this paracosm for themselves. I mean, most of the paracosms that people have made, you've developed it yourself. You live it within this thing, probably made in childhood, and some people as adults never actually get out of it. Ignorance is bliss, yeah. Don't think I couldn't go back because I don't think I've ever been in that position. But there's a lot of problems people have. Particularly, you can tell in this arena, there's lots of people who drink, drugs, all of that sort of stuff. It's tough. Modern life is crazy. And if you've been given a load of contradictions and told this is the beginning, you start from there here, and like that's tough. Starting at a load of contradictions. Well, that's the introspection done. I hope everybody gets okay with all of this sort of stuff. Just know, like I said to Arwin, Nathan, they all need each other. And if anybody does want to come for a chat, we're here, open. Even if you need to come and have a rant, fill your YouTube channel up with your shouting at people, come over. We're here for a conversation. That's what we're always here for. Yeah, even Arwin. I always wanted to know why they seem to have a problem with me. It's as though somebody's been going round in the back rooms, sort of saying things about me, about, to make people not like what I do. But I mean, I don't know.
It's not just you though, is it, Bev? I mean, we've kind of proved that. It's been you, it's been me, it's been anyone that has even attempted to try and talk about this stuff. Yeah, anybody.
Yeah, but does it work like that? Because when people like Nathan Oakley was like, oh, he's left, they've left, and then they're always sort of liked more when they leave. So is it us, or is it, like this place, this hub on the level?
I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I just think we were a group of people that came into this arena in various ways and was like, what on earth is this? And we just kind of all found each other.
Yeah, we were called the misfits, weren't we? Like they were always saying we were all of the odds and ends and the misfits. We were the people that were in this arena but didn't fit in this arena for some reason. Still are, I guess. Because we're not part of it. We're not flat earthers. Yeah, I think that there's something a little bit strange, right? Once you realise it's a false dichotomy, and then you see that these other groups have leaders, but once you've talked to them, you know that they've got nothing. There's no arguments. There's no tests. There's no conversation. There's no discussion. There's nothing. It's been the weirdest thing about this arena. Nobody really wants to talk about some of the things that you think should be some of the most pressing matters. Like how people can interact with other people.
I don't think it's just this arena though, Bev.
No, it's not.
I think
not just
it's
this arena.
Everywhere. Like people are just I don't know what it is.
But that's the thing we've got to get from this, right? I mean, flat earthers may be breaking down, the globe earthers are obviously troubled minds, broken. And then, you know, that if that's happening within this arena, when this arena is hyper focused, that's why I was in it to start off with, because you're always, you know, like you're so much further down this call it the conspiracy hole, right? But trying to find the most ridiculous conspiracy, but I think we found it here. This is the place where it's hyper focused. And if that's in the place that it is the most hyper focused, where the minds are broken the easiest, the nut sackings that go on, because this is proper mental, you know, taking on of a contradiction into your internal logical system.
And again, I'm going to say it live. I've said it many times in here, not live. But when the world thinks that men can become women and vice versa, how can you ever have a rational discussion past that point with people that think that? I mean, that is the state of our reality at the moment.
Yep.
Scary. Really scary.
Yeah, that's happening everywhere. And if that's happening everywhere and we can get hyper focused on it about the straight line, which may not sound much different, straight or bent.
Can I just add to Emma's point?
Yeah.
I watched this documentary. It was called "What Is a Woman?" and they don't even know.
No, they do know. They just can't say because of social 2024, innit?
All right, I stand corrected. They claim they can't distinguish what a woman is. Then,
Well, it just I refer everyone
women
to
have
go and
babies.
watch.
That's all I know.
Yeah, everyone ought to go and watch The Life of Brian by Monty Python.
Yeah, that was
There
a
is a
great movie.
particular sketch in that just, I mean, it's like they knew what was coming. Honestly.
See,
That's it now.
I remember it
I'll have
says when the people are in charge are woke, but I can remember when woke meant that you were aware of the bullshit. Not
yeah, they've completely flipped the
that's
meaning
gone,
of
hasn't
it.
it?
Yep.
Woke was stolen by the retards.
It was just taken over and meant to mean the opposite of what it did to start off with. Like, they can truly mess with words to flip everything upside down. Yeah, woke used to mean you were aware of the bullshit.
Yeah, now it means you are the bullshit.
Yeah. It's done with the frantic bunny ears, isn't it? Like, you know, like they do that around it, and then that means they're not that. And then people don't know what that is to start off with because they're just confused. Yeah. Probably that's what the biggest learning thing of all of this is that not that. The state of the modern mind and the understanding that most of the stuff you don't know anything about. You've just been taught contradictions about things. Is it 9:30? Is Buster playing?
9:30. It's 11:30.
Numbers. What do they mean?
Yeah, I was playing.
Yeah, he's just got a wolf. Another wolf.
It's quite a funny one. You have to try it.
I like the glowy thing on your shoulder.
Took me, yeah. That's like the third time I've tried for it.
Yeah, it looks cool.
It's even cooler. I got a song ready.
Oh, sweet.
Just whenever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Somebody requested it, so let me get back somewhere and I'll get it ready.
Yeah. We can wrap up soon. We have been going like nearly all day.
Oh yeah, if you're not ready to do it, then that's fine too.
No, yeah. You whenever you're ready. Like I'm ready to wrap it up and jump on the game for an hour or so. If anybody does want to come in, we do have this gaming thing where we do go space with dinosaurs, just to show that we can't escape from reality, right? And everybody can have an escape. You all need an escape, I think. It does test your PC a little bit. So if you do want to test your PC, get it warmed up a bit. Yeah, come on to the Discord. Jump onto the on the game. And I don't know what we're going to be doing this weekend. I do have a fair few videos within the members list. If anybody wants to listen to just random conversations, but the conversations recently have been a bit more interesting. They've been going to different places because, like I say, I think we've discovered we've gone through our training and we know what we're doing now. And obviously, people are becoming aware of the false dichotomy. Let's say they're becoming aware of the bullshit around flat Earth. We've been saying it, for a fair bit. We're not flat earthers, but I've got nothing against flat earthers. In fact, I've been defending flat earthers for quite a while. And defending flat earthers against people saying that they're ridiculous, because let's face it, the alternative is even more contradictory. So, there's a false dichotomy and that's all people know. So you shouldn't really be ridiculing either side of it from either other position, because it's a false dichotomy. We know nobody's got any arguments, either for the flat earth or for the dogmatic globe. The only actual arguments that do exist are from reality. And who can't live in reality? Talk about reality. Ask questions of each other about reality. Challenging questions too. I mean, people are always asking challenging questions about stuff. So come on into the Discord, because the Discord's where it's all at anyway. We're not always live, but, we do chat most of the time. I'm going over a video of a few little clips of Nathan Oakley. Actually, if Jamie Sea Level, I don't know if Jamie Sea Level's watching, but I mean, unless he stopped doing what he's doing. If he goes over the last videos with Nathan Oakley, the Brian Cox one, and the associated Arwin video, grab 2 of them, download them, and that should keep you going for quite a while.
You ready?
Yes, I do believe we are. Is everybody else all right? Had a good time.
Final words.
We were born ready for Buster.
This is a good one. I haven't played this in forever, and I was asked to play it, so I got it out and wrote the words down proper, and hopefully this works out well. All right. I think it's very fitting.
Before you start, I just want to say this is my favorite Buster song.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's the echo in your brain. You know you can't sustain the misconceptions in your mind. One day you'll see for sure what all of this was for. Then you can leave it all behind. The journey begins. I am the one yet that will show the proof. I am the one yet that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the logos. In the beginning was found this thing that cannot speak. It's how we all truly learn. It's only ever attained when one lets go of fear. So don't let wisdom pass you by. The journey begins. I am the one yet that will show the proof. I am the one yet that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the logos.
This is my favorite one.
It was there all along. How could I never have seen this thing that's danced all around? It wasn't until I left behind the things that I believed that I could see things so clear. The journey begins here. Become the one, yeah, that will show proof. Become the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. Become the whispers of the logic in their mind. Become an agent of the logos. I am an agent of the logos. We are agents of the logos.
Well
That's
played,
awesome.
Buster. Agents of the Logos. Come and
Thank you,
join us
Buster.
You're welcome.
on the Level Discord.